Did you break it? Is it?
No, I had to use that as a time machine backup for this.
Sorry, you have a time machine?
Do we want to make sure it's actually working? It wouldn't say it's recording and then
No. It would not lie to us, Carly. It would not lie to us.
I am a bit concerned.
41.
Yeah.
My goodness. Older than you. Younger than me. Not for long, though. A couple more weeks.
Yeah.
It'll be older than both of us. Now, you're going to ask me what my good news is, but actually my good news for this week is good news for you.
Excellent. Is that actually your good news?
Because I have people that actually like me.
Or do they like me?
And, well, no, they're being nice to you because they like me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And one of them heard your sorry tale of woe about melatonin and the fact that melatonin had been, like, changed the listing and you can't get it and blah, blah, blah. And they've switched from melatonin to some other thing and found that works really well for them. And so they, through me, are gifting to you. We've become drug dealers, guys.
Is that melatonin for me?
That is melatonin for you.
Oh, you have saved
From
my
a
life.
fan. G, look out. Carly has fans and they are giving her drugs. Okay?
What does my life come to?
I'm sorry. It's just a fact. Now, also, my camera has zoomed out. That's terrible.
Is it?
Yeah.
Now,
you're able to just zoom it in.
I'm able to do everything.
Yeah. Shows you how much we actually check our stuff before we start, right? A little bit. Just so that, yeah. Oh.
And then?
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Good. All right.
Happy?
Yep. Much better.
I did muck around with
Let me
the camera.
just, you take a seat. Okay, so if I actually sit up in my chair instead of slouching like the slob that I am, yeah, that's close enough. I'm slightly too big in the frame, but that's all right.
Am I dark? Hang on. Put it back on me.
No, you're still white-skinned.
That's not what I meant.
Oh.
That's not what I meant. That'll do. Whatever. I don't even care.
Now, I do know, you must have known that gift was coming because I see you've left a present on the table for me. Complete with like dog hairs just sort of stuck to it in the goopy dog slobber. Thanks, I think.
That's from Monday night when Aspen was throwing the toy at me.
Where was this when Daniel Andrews was doing his donut days?
Yeah, right?
Donut days, right?
You can throw it. It
no,
is a dog.
It will call the dog. The dogs will
She's
feel
outside.
the vibration
She
through the
will.
floor,
She
and
will.
she will find a way. I'm putting it down carefully, like it's explosive.
She'll find it. She knows where
No
her
doubt.
toys are. She's way too smart, that dog.
yeah.
Way too smart.
Yeah, that's why I don't like dogs.
Do you want to hear what my good news is?
Sure.
Are you ready?
Oh. Is everyone going to have to start their drinking early?
Get your shot glasses, guys.
Yeah. Okay, guys, this is going to be a heavy drinking episode. I am holding Carly's master's thesis.
And it is finished.
It
It's
is
done.
finished. Jesus said the same thing, but I think the context was slightly different. Well done. Congratulations.
It's meaty, isn't it?
Look for a master's. I mean, obviously, if you're doing a doctorate, it's going to be 5 times thicker. But yeah, I mean, it's got plenty of information. Oh, it's got some bikini girls in there.
Does.
I mean,
It does.
this is an entertaining read by anybody's standards. Okay, you did kind of ruin it there. Like seriously, what's going like that's.
Have you watched that yet? I told you to research for me, and then you never did.
The Substance?
Yeah,
No.
the movie.
No. No, I don't. Whatever
That's
that
the
is, I
Demi
don't-
Moore movie.
I don't need to see whatever that
It's
was.
horrific.
Yeah, thanks. We're
And,
going to
yeah.
leave it there. Moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of that, and that's why I'm probably a little bit rusty this morning. I'm
yes.
pretty tired,
A little
but
bit dusty.
yeah, all done, all finitoed.
Yeah. Congratulations. So, and is that the last thing you have to do, or are there other
No.
subjects that?
Oh, that's the written part. Now I
Yeah.
have to do the exhibition,
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yes,
which
of course.
is 3 weeks away. So
All
no
right.
pressure.
And then we're going to have to find a replacement for our drinking game because our guys are going to go into alcohol withdrawal symptoms if suddenly you're no longer talking about your masters.
What if I start talking about my doctorate?
Oh.
That's 4 years.
I'm resigning in advance.
That is 4 years.
No, I can't deal with that.
To be fair, I'm not entirely sure. I think I need like a year off, a month off, a year off.
Yep, take a lifetime off and just to think about it, and then once you're dead, if you decide you want
Yeah.
to do the doctorate, then go for it.
I kind of want to do the route that you're going to take. They just give it to me.
Yeah, I want an honorary doctorate at some point.
They're
Yep.
like, you did a good thing here. Have a
Yeah.
bit of paper, but we'll rescind it if we decide that
That's
you
right.
don't deserve it
We've
later.
decided that you're the world's foremost expert on this particular thing based on your work and what you've done in the past, but also we're going to hold it over your head and threaten you every time you step out of line. Yep.
They did that to Diddy. They gave him a doctorate for something. I don't know what it was for, but they've
Yeah.
rescinded it. It
Yep.
was from Harvard.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
That was before I started paying any attention to these people. And do you know why I now have to pay attention to these people?
Because of this podcast?
Because you bring them up from time to time, and I look like an absolute goose if I have no idea what's going on.
Can I refer to our text exchange this morning?
Look,
And-
listen, let's not get into who said what to whom.
Evidently,
Let's
there is
just,
someone that's more concerned with a celebrity culture than myself.
just because there's
and-
incriminating evidence doesn't mean you need to show it publicly.
And I would like to point to the camera and show you this little text exchange. And the green bubble.
Yes,
Is me.
I may have sent a text to Carly with a scantily clad woman and a furry bush.
It's a
that is-
merkin.
that
It's
is-
Kim Kardashian
Yep.
with a merkin. I thought I had just got rid of all these bloody Skims ads. And then you send me this. And
Okay.
now...
Okay, but honestly, this is so bad. What? Like, send the meteorite already. Like, just end this experiment called humanity, please.
If this honestly means that I end up with more bloody Skims ads... Can I
Okay.
zoom in? Let's have a look.
Yep. So
This cannot be real. I know it is, but
they are trolling at this point. This is pure troll. So for those that are listening to the podcast, Skims, friend of the show,
what is
friend of the
this?
show, have decided to no, they haunt the show because an ad for them came up one time, and then I gave Carly a hard time about it, so she clicked on it and showed me what was going on with it, and then we've been plastered with these ads ever since. And now, yes, this will be our entire first year will be spent with Skims ads on our show.
And we're not even getting paid for
Not even
it.
getting paid for it. They have released a line of on-purpose hairy. I don't even know what you would call it.
They call it a merkin.
A merkin.
Yeah.
Right. It's like a Y string, I guess, or a G string with the skimpiest of possible front parts, and now with added fur.
I saw
It's horrific.
Kim Kardashian made a quote about it, because of course she did. And she said, now your carpet can be whatever colour you want it to be. They're just mocking us. This is just taking the piss. And the worst thing is they know people will buy it. People will buy it more out of $32.
Wow.
Oh, no, I've clicked on it. Oh, no, we're here. We're here. Oh, no. It'll never go. You guys are going to see this every
It's
episode.
geolocated you now. It knows where you are.
We can join the wait list. Wow, you can get a red one. If you... No, don't say what you're going to say. Don't do it.
Do you remember the vajazzling craze? Correct response. Correct response.
These are conversations I didn't think I'd be having with you.
Hey, the promise we made to everybody was that we were just going to point a camera at the conversations that you and I were already having, and I think we are delivering on that promise.
Yeah, okay, here we are. We're having a conversation about vajazzling.
So
Yeah, bedazzling?
no, it was vajazzling. And I think this charts the decline of human civilization right here, to have gone from like diamantes and gold encrusted whatever to cheap synthetic
I don't think I can show that on...
hair.
Oh, that's not safe for work. That's... What am I looking at? Get it
I
off!
don't know. Not even I can see it, and I don't think I want to.
I typed in vajazzle and I
Oh.
didn't expect the explicit nudity. I'm trying to find... I don't know if YouTube...
Somebody call the e-safety commissioner.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. My Google search history, I think I can show... No, I can't show that one.
Yeah, let's
Can't show
move
any
on.
of it.
Let's move on.
Why
Yeah.
did you bring that up?
Well, no, because I mean, you've gone from like diamond encrusted diamante whatever to cheap synthetic. Like, have you ever felt one of those cheap synthetic furs, the faux furs, that just feel really nasty? The ones that just feel like almost like the plastic in the little fibers is going to cut your fingers. Like, can you imagine walking around with that? No.
Guys, grab your drinks because I'm going to say something.
Oh, hello. Drink number 2 already. We're not even 10 minutes in.
Shut.
We're not even 10 minutes in.
I literally talk about the Kardashians, and I want to read you something if I can find it very quickly. I'm not going to waste our time on it, but hang on, where are we? I talk about Khloe, right? Because she was dubbed the ugly sister, which is horrific. But she's basically matured in front of the TV.
Yeah.
Where are we? It's somewhere here. There is no better example of this Kardashian. basically I talk about how the Kardashians have industrialized beauty, right?
Sure.
And so, yes, they've made lots and lots of money off it, but also they are stuck in this surveillance loop. And because of it, they are both profiting, but also are victims of their own beauty standards.
Yeah.
And I find it really, really sad that this is the world we live in, where Kim Kardashian, remember we joked about the what it was? It was like a...
Oh, yeah, it was that face
brace.
warmer thing. The face
It was
shaper.
for the jowls.
Yeah, the face shaping thing.
And as someone who's had maxillofacial surgery, I wore something similar after my surgery. And then they were parroting it back to silly consumers and saying it was infused with collagen. And, not that you would probably know this, or maybe you do know this. I don't know. I underestimate you at times. We've just spent like the last 20 years of having Brazilian waxes and then laser.
Yeah.
Right? But now, okay, so you've spent all that money getting rid of all your pubic hair. Now, bring it back.
But
Bring
that
it back.
is always the way with fashion.
Always.
See, by definition, beauty has to be hard. This is one of the things that, and let me teach you something you don't know about beauty standards. Little Miss Master's thesis.
Okay, I'll throw them in.
This is nothing new to you, and probably nothing new to most of our audience. But cultures throughout history have had different definitions of what beauty is. But always it has been a thing that is difficult to accomplish, difficult to attain. And so we're always making people do work in order to achieve whatever is defined as beauty.
That's the point.
Back in civilizations where starvation was the norm, being fat was beautiful.
Yes.
And that's because it was hard, it was difficult, it was you had to be a special person to be able to accomplish that.
Yeah.
These days, it's very easy to be fat. And so being skinny has become the standard of beauty. Well, if everyone naturally has hair, the more difficult thing is to say, well, you have to remove it.
Yes.
If everyone's now had laser surgery and
You
it's
gotta
been
keep shifting
permanently
the
removed,
goalposts.
now you have to say, well, now you need to get it back.
Yeah.
You've got to keep on redefining what beautiful is and making it hard again.
And we've seen that literally in the last decade. It was, we've gone from the Kate Moss era where everyone was like heroin chic to now, the body positivity movement. And then the second that Ozempic and semaglutide hits the market, all of a sudden everyone's skinny again.
Yeah.
And we're just seeing Paris Fashion Week and they've got super skinny models. But I'm going to read you something because I thought it was really good. And maybe you won't think it's really good.
Because, sorry, you're going to read me something that you wrote because you think it was really good.
Yeah, I'm biased.
I would hope you would think it's really good. You wrote the damn
to be fair,
thing.
I wrote this thing when I was basically diabolically exhausted.
You were drunk at the time.
I don't remember the last month, to be fair.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I don't remember the last 10 years, but yeah.
This is what I will say about beauty standards, and this is why I did this whole thing. But I wrote, it's a peculiar experience to observe yourself as both protagonist and antagonist in a narrative echoed throughout the lives of women worldwide, the narrative of beauty itself. This duality, to be both subject and the object of one's own scrutiny, formed the conceptual foundations for my project, Chimera. This project adopts an autoethnographic approach, situating my personal experience as a commercial photographer and also a woman within the broader context of artificial intelligence and beauty culture. Through photographing and analysing my interactions with predominantly female clients, I engaged in both observation and participation, positioning my practice as a site of inquiry into the social and psychological mechanisms of digital self-surveillance. Hang on.
I don't know how much more of this I can take.
One more. One more sentence.
Please, just let me out. Let me out.
As a millennial woman raised by reality TV and fashion magazines and initiated into beauty ideals by Kim Kardashian and the advertising culture of the 2000s, I sought to transform my own self-consciousness into an inquiry that resists simple definition. Beauty has never stood still. It slips through cultures like water, forever reforming in response to technology, commerce, and power. And as we enter a new digital paradigm, its meaning becomes more elusive than ever.
Forget Donald Trump. That is Nobel Peace Prize worthy right there.
Is it? I don't think it is. I think you're pulling my leg. But I talk about Kim Kardashian in this, and I've talked about that photo before, but they are brilliant at sensing a cultural shift, monetizing it, and selling it back to silly people.
We need to talk about sensing cultural shift because there are some people in the Liberal Party who should know better, who are failing to spot the massive cultural shift that is happening right now.
Is this about net zero or immigration?
This is about James Patterson, Senator James Patterson, someone that I met a few times before he became a senator. Him and Tim Wilson used to show up to libertarian events and that sort of thing. And they have become very much swamp creatures. They've become very much establishment creatures. And I watched Senator Patterson change within. I think it was only about 6 months, but it was.
Is this because someone's slipping some cash?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they lack integrity in that sense, but I think that they were ambitious and they really wanted to be inside Parliament. And the moment they got inside Parliament, they succumbed to the perverse incentives and the play the game kind of ideas, or the stuff that I talk about in my book, which you can buy. It's right behind me.
So you can grift.
That's right, so that I can grift. Yeah, see, you didn't get paid. You can't. You're not selling that.
Oh, I'm going to.
Are you just?
Yeah.
It's obviously paid by the word because you just used a whole lot of words to say not a lot of stuff right there.
Had to bump that word count up somewhere.
That's right. So Senator Patterson has come out and said basically that being a reform lighter, Nigel Farage light party is not the way to connect with voters. And basically he's defending Susan Lee, he's defending the status quo of the Liberal Party, saying we need to put aside all of this division, all these questions around net zero, blah, blah, blah. We just need to get behind our leader and carry on into oblivion, which is where they're currently going. And this ties back to what we were talking about on Monday night. For those of you that are only aware of the Wednesday night show, there is also a Monday night live that we do where we interact with the audience and comments and so forth. And you brought up the polling from Cost Samaras, Redbridge. And this polling says that the Liberal Party are headed for oblivion. That's true in the current form of the Liberal Party. That's what James Patterson and all the other establishment Liberals who are getting around Susan Lee and rallying around her leadership, that is exactly where they're taking that party. And Cost Samaras is correct.
Yeah.
Without a change, that's what's happening.
I think with a lot of the Liberal establishment, they really do believe that if they just hold on tight, the pendulum will swing back towards them. And they haven't realised that, no, this isn't.
It doesn't have to.
This isn't a swing.
Yeah.
This is a shift of tectonic plates. People are moving.
Okay, but what we also said on Monday was that Cost Samaras, and polling can't, like it's not Cost's fault, but polling cannot account for the Black Swan event, for the iPhone being released. Polling on whether you wanted a BlackBerry or a Nokia couldn't account for the iPhone coming out in a year's time, right? So what's happened in the UK with reform, no polling could see that in advance.
Yeah.
It could only see it after it had started happening.
Yeah.
So reform came in and said, hey, we're going to offer you a real alternative. And then the polling went zhunk.
Yeah.
But nothing told them in advance that if the Conservatives offered these types of policies, then that's going to happen to your polling. No one can see that right, in advance. And this is what James Patterson and all the other establishment Liberal Party members are missing. You can't see what's going to happen when you actually grow a spine and get a backbone. Now, to bolster this argument, I sent you a graph, and I don't know whether you would have grabbed it or not, to do with the number of young people self-identifying as transgender or as non-binary.
Yes.
Now, this really goes to the very heart of what we've been talking about for a long time with the enormous social change that is happening right now. And for anyone that's new to the podcast, I am convinced, and there's lots of reasons why, and you're about to see even more evidence why, that we are in the next great social revolution after the sexual revolution of the 1960s. Right? And we've talked about that at length before. I'm not going to re-prosecute that case. But the pendulum swing, because that is a real thing, the pendulum swing is real. It's reached its zenith towards the wokeness and the woke sort of mind virus, to use that expression. And now it has begun its path backwards. And this is yet another data point that really reinforces that. We've said time and again, 2020, 21, 22, that was peak woke.
Yeah.
And we've been coming back from that ever since. Well, that's literally, I didn't know about this data at that time, but that is literally borne out in these studies that are being spoken about here in these tweets, that the number of young people, the share of students, so this includes all the young people, which we're told they're going to be more woke than ever. Well,
I need to see the age of these people. Like there's a lot of information missing from this graph, but if, by my estimation, this is representative of people who are young today, as in under 18, Gen Alpha is going to be one of the most conservative generations we've ever had.
It's heading that way. Now, keep in mind, this may include what they would call in America college students. So it may include people into their 20s.
Up to the 22, 3,
even mid-20s. But we're talking about that younger generation, and it would include people down from there. So we're talking about this generation. We've talked about this so much. It is splitting. There are people who are going all the way down the wokey, intersectionality nonsense, right? But there is an enormous cohort, and we can argue over how big that cohort is. Is it a majority? Is it not? I don't know, but it's big. There is an enormous cohort of these people that are now actively rejecting all of that because they've been around long enough. The reason why this generation is rejecting it is because they can see the consequences of the sexual revolution in their grandparents and their parents and their peers. Yeah. Where previously, feminism, which existed obviously before the sexual revolution, but we hit third wave feminism through the sexual revolution. We're now into fourth wave now. The promise of feminism was super appealing to our parents' generation and even to our generation, or more my generation than yours, because people hadn't seen the consequences. Yeah. It was alluring. It was a promise of some paradise that could be. Yeah. Now, these young people, they've seen the consequences.
Yeah.
And it's not appealing to them.
I told you
because
the
they've seen it.
story on Monday of the young boy who reached out to me and said, I'm so grateful I came across your content. This is kind of what I've been looking for.
Yeah.
They have, because, and we've talked about this, there was mass censorship during the woke peak year, the peak woke years, particularly around the pandemic, and people like not just me or you, but just people in general who had a different opinion to the progressive ideology, we were suppressed. We weren't allowed to say the thing. We were called every expletive under the sun, all the pejoratives. And now it's come to a point where people are like, well, okay, maybe we'll let them have a little bit more room. And obviously Meta has repealed a lot of that. X definitely repealed all that when Elon Musk bought X.
Even YouTube is definitely allowing more.
YouTube is definitely like friendlier. I mean, you still, like, to be fair, they're still privately owned companies to a degree, and they're allowed to set their guidelines. But so long as you're not being malicious,
correct,
and you're not doxing, and you're not being aggressive.
This is the thing. There are some people that complain about being, I'm being censored and shut down. No, you're being an ass, is what you're being. Like, there are some people that are like that. Now, I'm a free speech absolutist. I think people should be allowed to be an ass. But you're absolutely right. These companies have the right to say, hang on, you don't get to be an ass on our platform.
Yeah, I agree.
However, it used to be that no matter how politely you said it, it didn't matter. You were going to get censored for saying, for example, that there are only two genders. Yeah. That used to get you censored only a couple of years ago.
Yeah, you couldn't say that a man can't get pregnant. Yeah, that would get you booted off a platform. That would get you booted off a platform. And now you can. And so times have definitely changed. That pendulum swing is very, very real. And big companies love money. Big companies love money.
And they do not want to get left behind in a big cultural swing.
Well, I mean, we've talked about this at length in nearly every podcast for like the last couple of months. There has been so many examples of a company adopting this progressive ideology, the DEI or the ESG, and, attaching themselves to whether it's LGBT or trans or the Aboriginal yes vote, and it's backfired because no one wants the company to lecture them. They just want the company to solve their problem. That is all they care about. Do the thing that I'm coming to you for. I will decide and I will determine what works for me and what works for my family. I was speaking about this on my Instagram very briefly yesterday. The last part of my thesis was about feminist stuff, and I didn't want to put that in there, but my my supervisor was like, you cannot talk about female issues without talking about feminism. I was like, well, that's precisely my point. That's exactly what I'm going up against.
And did you absolutely smash it?
Oh my God. I read 6 papers and I'll tell you exactly what happened. Firstly, I was just annoyed by the stupid language, like just as wankery as it can get. But then once you start to break down all that academic nonsense, you get to the meat and bones of the article, and it's just about hating yourself, hating everyone else. That is fourth wave feminism. And it's projecting all of your insecurities, all the reasons you're mad, everything else, onto everyone else. And I've made that comment before in previous podcasts.
Victimhood, completely externalizing your locus of control, all that stuff.
And attaching every current thing to your victim card to excuse your poor behaviour. And we had to go along with that for a while there. And in this literature that I was reading, I even read about snark pages, and I've mentioned Tattle Life before and whatnot. And, reading these women discussing this, and they're trying to break the patriarchy whilst literally playing into the systems that men used to use to oppress women back before the suffrage movement. So they're literally doing the same thing. They're policing, they're surveilling. And, that's literally what I've written about. And when I was reading this literature, I'm like, it makes sense why young white women are so angry, why they want to cut off their breasts, why they hate people like me. It makes so much sense. And by the end of it, I read the 6th article and I was like, oh my God, if I never read that again.
It's a cesspit. And I understand why it destroys women who really buy into feminist ideology. To
be honest, it actually breaks my heart. So I had to do this thing because you got to put pictures in I had to put pictures in my thesis. And I had to go because I spoke about Tattle Life.
Colouring or dot to dot? What's your lecture into?
Bikini pictures.
That was my bride. You've got a male lecturer.
I do.
Oh, sorry. Actually, no, I shouldn't assume these days, should I?
I don't know. I do have a male lecturer, and I did put bikini pictures in my thesis.
Yeah, there you go.
You're welcome. No, but you totally sabotaged what I was about to say. Where was I going? Put pictures in. So
Yeah.
I had to go on to Tattle Life because I specifically mention it. And if you can believe it, there is actually academic literature around Tattle Life.
Oh, right.
I couldn't believe it either. Anyway, I go on there and I was like, I need to find like a nasty comment about a woman to like illustrate what I'm talking
Let
about.
me guess, you didn't have to look far.
Like it was on the first page where they have like the people they want to talk about, and then each forum has its own it has its own title. So every title is like, she thinks she's this, but blah 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 blah. And I was like, done, perfect, screenshot, whatever.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but thinking that we've got people like Lidia Thorpe saying, I'm going to burn down Parliament for Palestine. We've got people saying that they want to have men competing in women's sports in the upcoming Olympics. We'll get to that.
Men in female prisons.
Correct.
Have you got the NT thing on the list?
I do have that on the
Excellent.
list.
Good. Yeah, just checking.
But these women are more concerned about writing full-length commentary about me and other people like me on Tattle Life.
Yep.
Like, to be honest, I looked at one thread and it wasn't about me, but it was like, looking at the thread, I'm talking paragraphs after paragraph, and they're going onto your social media, they're screenshotting everything you post and writing...
Dissecting absolutely everything.
Right, they're writing dissertations on you.
They can read not only the words you wrote, they can read the words in between the lines that you didn't write.
They can actually get inside your brain.
They can hear your dog whistles.
Correct. And I was looking at it and I was like, who has this free time? Honestly...
Yeah.
Who has this time?
So you're familiar with the idea that the lowest IQ, or basically the lowest kind of quality thinking people, talk about people.
Yes, I've heard that quote.
The medium quality people talk about events.
Yes.
And high caliber people talk about ideas.
Yes.
And this is why I no longer get upset when people are talking about me and wanting to say whatever they want.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you have just categorized yourself as being at an intellectual standard that I'm just not going to spend time on.
You can only talk about people.
I'm just not going to spend time on you.
Well, do you know what's funny? I mentioned this before we started the podcast. I was on Commanding the Narrative and I did an interview with Stephen. And G went over there to have a look and see if there was any comments and to have a read. Yeah. And there was a comment there from someone who's like, oh, Stephen, you didn't do your research. You don't know how much of a con woman Carly is. And then listed all these alleged things that I've done.
Yeah.
And firstly, I chuckled because I was like, every time I hear this story about myself, it changes.
Yeah.
It's getting more inventive and more creative. And honestly, 10 out of 10 for originality.
And look, honestly, I mean, you've lived a fascinating life. The stuff you've gotten up to, I had
I
no
don't
idea.
know how I
until
have the
Googled
time
you.
to do
I
it.
know, right? It's amazing.
It's fantastic. But then they get a little bit too confident. And I think this is what peak woke did to a lot of these people. Because they were uncancelable, because, like
They
I
were on the
say,
right side.
they had the sash and they collected all the patches.
Yeah.
They were able to say these things and get away with it. And that's why Abby Chatfield and Clem Ford got away with it so long.
And why they're so angry now that they're not.
Don Lemon, Chris Cuomo, what's her name? She was on MSNBC, Joy Reid. They would say the most horrendous, outrageous things, and no one would hold them to account.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this person in that comment has said that I was committing insurance fraud from when my car got broken into. And I was like, okay, so now
Have they reported you to the police? Because I'm sure if they have evidence of that, the police would really like to see
correct. Accusing someone of insurance fraud is quite defamatory if it were not true.
You know what?
So now you've overplayed your hand. So you're saying that, oh, no, hang on a minute. Like, I'm going to accuse her of this because I believe this is what's happening. Well, funny for you, I would have to actually have had insurance to then go on to commit fraud. So unfortunately for me, stupid idiot, I didn't have insurance. So no fraud was taken. But
you are the worst insurance fraud scammer that I have ever come across. You're the worst insurance fraud scammer that I've ever heard of. But you have heard of me.
Yes. But it's funny though, because I wouldn't think of these things, but they do. And I'm like, boy, is that a projection?
Yeah, correct.
You think that way, so you assume that I would operate that way.
The concept of committing insurance fraud does not cross my mind. I don't think, oh, good, now I've got insurance, I should go and crash my car.
I don't know if anyone's realised, but we have so much surveillance around.
Yeah, well, that's true too, yeah.
Everyone has Ring cameras or Eufy cameras. Everyone has dash cams. Most people have cameras in their store. I don't know if you've heard about this crime wave that's taking over the Western world.
I don't think I have.
So there's an awful lot of surveillance. So to say that someone's committing insurance fraud because this thing happened that didn't happen, you would want to hope that I didn't happen to have all the video footage
or you've got
of
like
this
an
crime
app
taking
that
place.
tells you where every single person's security and home security and Ring camera and all the rest of it happen to be. every single vehicle with a dash cam has to be logged in this app so that you can wait till there's a black spot.
Right.
One's looking at you right
100%.
now. And then light the match.
That's a plot from the Fast and Furious. That's sci-fi. Yeah.
Well,
it's called
I haven't seen a Fast and Furious movie since they stopped being good.
No, they're so ridiculous that they're brilliant.
Yeah.
There was
Are they jumping
what do they
tanks
call
between
it?
trucks or something now?
Do you know what? The tank one was brilliant. And they pull the bank vault. Come on.
Okay,
and then they're in the submarine.
No. I put this in the same category. I'm not letting this go. I put this in the same category as Die Hard, right? Where they did the comeback movie.
Sharknado.
They did the comeback movie, and that was great until they had a Harrier jump jet flying around and underneath and between layers of a freeway superstructure, kind of forgetting that the downwash, etc., doesn't quite work once you've got a boundary layer above a vertical takeoff and landing vehicle. But put that aside for a second.
Fun for everyone.
Put that aside for a second. He shot down a helicopter with a car. He launched the car off the back.
Okay, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, it's like The Rock.
It's too much.
Literally picking up the machine gun that would have been on the helicopter and pointing it up.
Gun. Yeah. So
but
when
he's tough, you can do that.
When that thing starts firing, the pilot of the helicopter has to adjust because the recoil is sufficient to.
Yeah, but The Rock can do it with one hand.
But The Rock can just hold it with one. Yeah, no worries.
Anyway,
He's
so
the
that's
Terminator.
the plot of a Fast and the Furious movie, and also a recent James Bond.
Like just literally waiting for a black spot to
No.
occur so that
There's
they
this
could...
like computer virus or this thing that you can log into. I can't remember what it's called. It'll come to me. And basically, it tracks all of the data and the cameras across the world, like all the surveillance networks.
Right.
And so you are able to find those little black holes
see.
to operate in.
I see.
And then the recent James Bond that I watched, no, it wasn't James Bond. It was Mission Impossible. Same thing.
Haven't
The
seen
Russian
the new one.
sub that was at the bottom of a lake had the same thing.
Hey, spoilers.
Come on, everyone's watched this.
I
Anyway.
haven't watched it. Okay.
But no, I don't actually have that technology.
I owe you 2 apologies.
Okay.
Firstly, I didn't sing the song. Tangent time, tangent time, tangent time, tangent time. Secondly,
We haven't done a word.
I kicked us off because we kind of just milling around, and then I went bang, and we dived into that whole thing about the Liberal Party, and we haven't done the word.
We've hit this at like 100 kilometres an hour.
Try 100 miles an hour, yeah.
All right. What's
All
the
right.
word? Do you want me to choose or are you going to choose? Stop.
We have 3 choices, 1, 2, or 3.
2.
Oh, I really want it to be number 1.
Okay, fine. 1.
Lumpen proletariat.
Lumpen.
Or actually, I think it'd be lumpen proletariat.
Lumpen
A
proletariat.
term used by Karl Marx to describe uneducated common people. I do feel like we could use that word.
Is that like a
Hang on.
nincompoop?
Hang
Hang on.
on.
Lumpen? L-U-P?
Lump,
Yeah.
en,
Ian?
and then proletariat, spelt the usual way.
Hang on.
Lumpen proletariat.
Lumpen proletariat. That's too many syllables for
Okay,
me.
so then let's go to the word you actually picked, which is lustration.
Lustration.
Purification through symbolic or ceremonial means or remembrances. After Melanie spent 6 months working with charities in third world countries, we put her through lustration by reintroducing her to our favourite luxury boutiques. Purification through symbolic or ceremonial means or remembrances.
I am not going to remember either of these. I reckon the
That's-
Karl Marx one's better. Lustration.
Shall we allow an each way bet?
Okay.
You can go with lumpen proletariat
Lumpen proletariat.
or lustration, as the case may be, whether you want to insult uneducated common people or whether you wish to discuss purification from, I don't know, being
I've
a
already
Marxist.
forgotten lustration. Was it lustration?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lumpen proletariat. So I'm just reading this here. The unorganised and unpolitical lower orders of society who are not interested in revolutionary advancement. Would that just basically sum up half of Australia?
Well, quite possibly. So in Marx's theory, which is obviously a class struggle, you've got the proletariat and you've got the proletariat of the lower classes and you've got the bourgeoisie,
Yes.
which are the property owning,
Yes.
blah, blah, blah. And so obviously he realised that amongst the proletariat, there were people who wanted revolution and then there were the lumpen proletariat. Right. Lumpen, I presume, being a lump, being related to that word, that idea that they're kind of useless. So it's difficult to pretend to be a member of the lumpen proletariat when your car costs more than your next door neighbour's house. Right. So that's the lower end of the lower classes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could be talking about people who are anti or like unpolitical, but then all of a sudden they get their house robbed and they're like, hang on a minute.
Well, it's hard for Mike Cannon-Brookes to claim to be a member of the lumpen proletariat when he's building a private lake
Hey,
and owns a private jet.
No,
I'm not claiming it. I'm not saying that
He really had to dig deep over that. I will
He
not.
did have to dig deep. It's a private lake. You need a couple of meters there at least.
He really had to consider in his heart of hearts that purchase of the private jet. And I want you to understand that he spent approximately 2 seconds choosing what colour the stitching would be on his
I reckon he spent
seating.
longer than that. But he did do it for the kids. And this is such an important...
children?
Because he wanted to spend more time with his children. He was missing his children.
Did he do it for his protection and his safety?
Look, I think it changes. But then he did say that. But then he was later on seen in the waiting lounge of an actual just commercial schleb airline like you and me fly on. So not so sure that he needs that protection. But I think what's really important is he said, I'm doing this so I can spend more time with my kids. Well, yes, Mike, but you also claim that the emissions spewing out of the back of that plane are the reasons why your kids won't have a future. So
very
I'm
confusing.
really having a hard time putting all of this together.
Hey, man, if they these communist types, these climate warriors, are the definition of double standards.
Yeah. If they didn't have double standards,
I knew
they
you were
wouldn't
going
have
to
any
say
at
it.
all. I was just trying to work out how to build lustration into a sentence there, but I've decided it's too early in the podcast and I'd be cheating.
Yeah. To be fair, you're going to win by default because I've already forgotten lumpen proletariat.
Lumpen proletariat.
That's not going to come off my tongue easily without me tripping over it.
Agree.
Setting myself up for failure.
Mine either.
But
hey, we have two
firstly,
options.
we really need to talk about some...
She says 35 minutes into the podcast.
We need to talk about some very important things. First, I'm going to tell you what's on the list.
Ooh.
This is going to get us demonetised, I am convinced. Because
Excellent.
Last time we talked about pedophilia, we got demonetised. So the ABC pedo tape.
Yes.
I really wish I didn't look into this story. It just it's like my
sick.
skin starts, and I just feel sick.
It's really sick to think that this was... So for those that don't know, we now have it absolutely confirmed. This is a fact. No one is questioning that this tape is real and it was really broadcast in 1975 on the ABC. There was an interview that the ABC conducted with 4... pederasts, I think they call themselves.
Yes, we're not going into the article now.
Okay.
I'm just giving everyone that.
Okay,
yes,
sorry.
it's real.
All right, yes. All right. It's real. It's disgusting. We will cover it in high-level terms.
Yes, the Trump-Gaza ceasefire and the reaction from the left. I've got some videos to play of people saying that this won't last. They are literally cheering for the war to continue.
And look, it may not last.
It may not.
That might turn out to be true.
It certainly hasn't in all previous iterations of ceasefires and war ending. But what's his name? Smarmy face from the project.
That
Waleed.
doesn't narrow it down. Okay, yes.
Waleed, of course, in ABC. I've got a really good clip, a combination of people all speaking about this. Yeah. And I can't help but look at that and go, you guys don't want peace because you are so attached to it. And I've made this comment so many times that people on the left have to attach these social justice movements to their personality, and if you take them away, they have nothing. They have no character of their own.
But they're also re-revealing, not that this was ever in doubt, they're re-revealing the fact that for them it's about the side, not about the principle.
Correct.
They don't want peace because Trump got credit for it.
Correct. And then the next one is Lidia Thorpe's protest remarks. Now, I know you've done a video on this, but I think it's worth speaking about quickly. Thankfully, we've done the Kim Kardashian Skims thing. That's ticked off.
What a great way to start the podcast.
Linda Reynolds and Brittany Higgins, the bankruptcy push.
I'm having a hard time caring, but okay.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
So, to everyone that's not in Victoria, I apologise, but we've got to touch on some more crime shit. And, of course, Jacinta Allan coming out saying in a press conference, saying that Melbourne is safe. And literally the day she said that, a gunman is running around carjacking in the CBD. But don't worry, Melbourne is safe,
I think technically carjacking outside the CBD and then was ultimately caught inside the CBD.
Okay,
but
so sorry.
It's across Melbourne. It's not just the CBD.
Yeah.
It's across Melbourne.
But no, Melbourne's really safe, so we'll play that.
Have you got the video? I'm in two minds. I don't know if I want you to have this video or not. Of the guy that cornered the home invader and put him under a citizen's arrest in his undies.
I do have that video.
That's a shame. That's a threat to my masculinity. That is.
Yeah. He was a good looking dude too.
Yeah, he looks like he's ready to play himself in a movie about what he did.
Right?
I
was like...
A little bit threatened over here.
Yeah, I was like... Men are back.
You watched that video multiple times.
Maybe I did. I will neither confirm or deny. In the Northern Territory, Linda Finocchiaro. Finocchiaro. I knew it was Italian. I read it like Pinocchio, but sure.
This is good. We need more of this in this country.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. Is she Liberal or Labor?
That's an excellent question. I believe she's Liberal.
I will learn this from my
I sorry, NT viewers, I don't pay a lot of attention to your politics.
To be fair, I don't either.
Yeah.
I live in Danistan, so also there was a remark, just talking about the trans thing, there was a remark made because Gavin Newsom will be stepping down as governor, and so they've got the gubernatorial race happening, and we've had a whole host of interesting characters come up.
Isn't it a cast of characters?
I talked about Katie Porter.
Yes.
And do you know who that is now? Have you seen the videos?
Only vaguely, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
She threw scalding hot mashed potato on her ex-husband's head. Like, that's the caliber of people I want in Parliament.
Was that like a hair loss treatment or something? What was the purpose there?
I don't know, don't care, but all I know is, like, she sounds like an absolute tyrant. But that's exactly on brand for California.
She'll fit in, yeah.
But then there's another one who's come out saying that men should be playing in women's sports, and with the Olympics, LA are hosting the Olympics in coming years.
That'll go well.
We definitely need more men, because they're now women, because they say they're women in women's sports. And she is on the record as saying that. And
well, look, it used to be that people who were born as women didn't get to play sports. Go back to Greek times. There were no women's sports. And
I remember that woman who ran was it either the Boston or the New York Marathon, and they tried to arrest her.
Yeah, they literally used to try and arrest you if you were a woman participating in sports. And that's not long ago. That's a matter of decades, not centuries, right?
Yeah.
Numerous decades, but decades, not centuries. And honestly, the trans movement is rapidly pushing us back towards that. Unless you were born as a man, you won't be able to compete.
Yep. And then of the most important things we need to talk about. I apologize, everyone. We've got to hit the tough stuff first, because and then otherwise the podcast descends into chaos.
Hit
So,
me with it.
all right, are you ready?
No, probably not. This is gonna. I'm a bit scared. I'm a bit scared.
I'm sorry, everyone. This
They
is important.
found love.
This is important.
Justin Trudeau kisses pop star Katy Perry while aboard her yacht. You know, I never paid enough attention to Justin Trudeau, apart from all his tyrannical stuff, to even know if he was married or in a relationship or okay.
He was. He's got 3 kids with his ex-wife.
Okay.
She divorced him in 2023. I wonder why.
Can't think why.
But can you think of a better suited couple? I can't. I actually think love has truly found its perfect match here.
I think
Two
that they are
utterly
perfect for each other.
insufferable cunts have come together. And I will stand on the record as saying that. You guys are getting really offended by my swearing, and I think I'm just going to lean into it more.
Lean into it, yeah. Yeah, screw
them. Disgusting. Can you imagine? Can you imagine their conversations? No, I apologize for my privilege. No, I'm privileged. No, I'm male and I'm white, and I'm more privileged. I am more privileged than you.
I'm richer. Look, happy for them. I try not to allow my political disdain for people to flow over into wanting harm to them or wanting them to not be happy and all the rest of it. I know you are. I'm the adult of the podcast. We've established that.
I am a millennial, a forever child.
Yes. So look, I just wish the paparazzi would fuck off, because the only reason that this is a big story is because some people with long telephoto lenses decided to take the photos. Now, to be fair, they probably went there for the purpose of getting paparazzi'd. That is a thing for those that don't know. Celebrities pretend they hate the paparazzi. Actually, they often make arrangements with the paparazzi to get photographed at the times they want to be photographed. And so there are certain parts of the world that if you're a famous person with a famous face and you go strutting around there for a day or two, there's going to be a lot of photographs out there. So if you want to be photographed, you don't even have to organise it. You just go to the right parts of the world. You go to Cannes at the right time of the year. You go to Monaco at the right time of the year. You go to these parts of LA, etc. You are going to be photographed. And I would say that's what's happened there.
And more importantly, if you could invite 2 people to dinner that were at the height of the intellectual cabal, who you'd have the most intelligent, articulate conversations, who would be at the top of your list? Because I know who would be at the top of mine.
If it was between those 2 and another choice, I would pick a slug and a snail.
Well, see, I would choose this couple.
Who?
Lisa Wilkinson and Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh, I thought that was a dude. When you said couple, I literally okay.
Rosie and Lisa, can you imagine the discussion?
Okay.
Talk about insufferable.
I would say I need glasses, but honestly, I don't want to be able to see that picture any more clearly. They're in Sydney, are they?
They are in Sydney. Rosie
good for
O'Donnell
us.
is here
Good for
in
us.
Australia because she had to flee the US because of Trump.
Oh, I know. The tyranny of what's happening. I mean, I do actually disagree with a bit of what he's doing. But nevertheless, yes, having to flee the US is a little bit rich.
I love how they're rich and they flee.
Yeah.
I need to leave this sinking ship, but thank God I have the means to do
don't
so.
knock it. I'm going to leave this sinking ship if it gets bad enough.
I'm not knocking it. I'm
It's
just
not bad
saying
enough yet, but if it does get bad
it's a
enough,
rather privileged position to find yourself
whether
in.
I'll be rich at the time remains to be seen. But
You might have millions, but it just won't be worth much. You just have your
look,
wheelbarrow.
We'll all be trillionaires soon. Yeah. Yeah.
How do you fix that? Do you issue a new currency?
So as a general rule, what happens once a currency completely collapses? Yes, the government kind of releases a new one. The idea being it wipes away all the debts and it wipes away their debts, but usually their creditors, by the time a current country's in that kind of trouble, their creditors don't owe them money in their own currency. They owe them money. They've been borrowing in US dollars or borrowing in something else. So that doesn't really work. Take Venezuela, because that's the instance that I know more about than I do, say, Zimbabwe or the Weimar Republic. Drink.
That would probably be the catalyst for the lumpen proletariats to start to become more political. Yes! Fucking nailed it!
That physically hurt. That
How I got that out, I do not know.
that physically hurt. I'm in pain.
I'm bleeding wind. Yeah. Shit. Gotta be quicker.
I can't believe you got this week. Oh.
With all those syllables too, somehow I managed to get it out.
I shouldn't have given you two options. A tactical rookie mistake on my part.
I used it well,
Rookie
didn't I?
You did, actually,
That
yeah.
was great.
But unfortunately, you're wrong. It hasn't historically been a catalyst for the lumpen proletariat to actually rise up. In fact, if my observance of Venezuela drink was
they're already
anything to go
pissed.
by,
They're already passed out. There's no one watching.
oh, so it's normal week then, yeah. So the way it works with the currency is in Venezuela, which is just, I use that example because it's the one that I'm the most familiar with. They inflate the currency to the point that it's practically worthless. They can no longer borrow in that currency. No one's going to lend them anything in that currency. They have to do their borrowing in US dollars and other things. And the exponential effect has kicked in. They're printing money to pay their bills and keep up with their interest payments and everything else. But then it's the steam train is picking up so much speed that next month they have to print more money, and then the month after that even more money, and therefore the devaluation just gets worse and worse. So once you're in that spiral, there's really no way out of that with the existing currency.
Yeah.
So what they did was they announced that all of the existing money was gone, and that they were issuing a new currency, and they physically issued new notes so that you could tell the difference. And people just threw their old money onto the street. I mean, their old notes were already pretty much worthless. I've made the point before that their $1 Bolivar notes, which was their smallest note, obviously, that was literally worth less than a sheet of actual toilet paper. A single square of actual toilet paper was physically worth more than a single Bolivar note. So it would, if you wiped your ass with your cash, you would save money.
Yeah, wow, okay.
Right? And that was literally true in the case of Venezuela.
It might chafe a little bit.
Well, look, with the older notes that are kind of soft, have been handled a lot. You just don't think about all the germs that are on there. I just try not to think too hard about that. So then what happens though is ultimately you're still asking your creditors to have some faith in the government's ability to manage its own economy, to manage its own affairs, etc. If you don't fix the underlying rot, the country just ends up back in the same spot with a different currency very, very quickly. Yeah. The other way that Zimbabwe went for quite some time before the complete collapse was they just started adding zeros and zeros and zeros, and then they just start deleting zeros and say, okay, we're just going to drop 6 zeros off the end of our currency and pretend that that's... because the zeros just become a problem in themselves. None of these solutions are good. None of them work. And it's one of the reasons why, in my opinion, governments should not issue their own currencies. And this is a really counterintuitive thing for a lot of people. They're like, but hang on, a government has to issue it. If it's not issued by a government, how could we trust it? Well, I'm sorry, if you pay attention to history, if it's issued by a government, how can you trust it? There is nothing there. And so privately issued currencies actually still exist. Yeah. Cryptocurrencies are an example of a privately issued currency. And again, most of them are completely worthless. Yeah. I mean, you could argue that all of them are completely worthless, but most of them are functionally worthless as well. They are a scam. A lot of crypto is a scam. It's literally a pump and dump scheme. They market it, they get you excited about it, they sell it to you, and then they walk away. Yeah, it's like that. And they pocket the cash.
That happened at the start of the year, that Hawk 2.
Oh, yeah, all those coins. Yeah. So, and I don't think she knew that that's what that was.
No, I think she got swindled.
She got used, basically. But cryptocurrency as a concept can be a completely legitimate currency. And I would argue that there are some that are performing the function of a legitimate currency.
Yeah.
Bitcoin being one of them. I saw that at work in Venezuela because that was one of the things that they turned to when their currency was becoming completely worthless.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that people need to put their life savings into Bitcoin, but I would strongly recommend if you're watching this podcast and you don't yet have a Bitcoin wallet and have made at least one transaction, like just do it. Just find something that you can order online or find a shop near you that accepts Bitcoin. Walk in there, play with the app and get them to help you until you've made a transaction and bought something with Bitcoin. That as a backstop, as a way of being able to do business, when your currency is hyperinflating, that literally saved lives in Venezuela. I met people that ran their entire lives on Bitcoin.
Yeah, okay.
So,
I know El Salvador. He's my mate, Nayab.
Yeah.
Is that part of the drinking game?
Friend of the show. It should be.
Yeah, it should be. Drink.
Are we going to tell people about your plan for the OG Oddies? Or is that just going to be a surprise?
No, we can tell them.
Yeah, you're going to tell them?
Yeah.
Because we've got to start collecting what the correct terms are.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. OG Oddies. Well, to be fair.
Finish your story and then let's go to that.
No, I know Nayab has been a massive supporter of Bitcoin. And I think
it's a reserve currency for them, I believe.
I think El Salvador has some of the biggest national reserves in the world. And I know he keeps buying it. And look, I'll be completely honest. G's really into crypto. I've got a lot of friends who are into crypto. I understand it on a fairly rudimentary level. Yep. I get the premise of it. I understand how it can be adapted.
Premise,
whatever.
You've been spending too long putting the emphasis on the wrong syllable, doing your dissertation, doing your doctoral, your master's thesis.
Dude, I just got lumpen proletariat out. Come on, give me a win.
Yeah, all right. You get some credit for that.
Right. So you've
your mate Nayab. Now it's me. This is a communicable disease.
It's contagious.
Nayab, friend of the show, collecting Bitcoin, and the fact that
I don't quite understand. Like I do understand it as like this is how you buy it. I have a crypto wallet myself. I have crypto.
Yeah.
But as far as like understanding it in terms of how we can use it and setting up different investments so that we can ride this storm out. I've watched a lot of stuff. I've watched The Unemployables because is it Adam?
Adam Hudson, yeah. So he's the one that's moved to Cyprus.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've watched people like him talk about it a lot.
Yeah. So I've got him. I'm doing a slow chat with him tomorrow night, by the way.
Okay.
Which I haven't promoted on my page yet, but I hopefully will have done that by the time you're watching this on Wednesday night. But yeah, I've got him on as a slow chat tomorrow night.
I like listening to these people, but I will say I do not have confidence in my own ability. And I've felt like that about financial stuff my whole life. Like I understand things at this much, but then when I hear these super in-depth chats around, tax havens and moving here and doing this, it's over my head.
From my point of view, it's not about tax minimization or avoidance or anything like that. It's about permissionless transactions. It's about not needing your bank to say yes to you, not needing your government policy to allow you to make the transaction. If you have a Bitcoin wallet and the person you want to transact with has a Bitcoin wallet, that transaction will happen. Now, there are some technical limitations that mean it might take 10 or 20, 30 minutes for it to happen because of the way Bitcoin's structured, and there are other layers that are working on that, and that's where you go down that technical rabbit hole and it all gets very confusing. But fundamentally, if you have Bitcoin and the person you want to transact with will accept Bitcoin, or if you can offer products and services and you will accept Bitcoin and they have Bitcoin,
are there still surcharges? Because obviously Bitcoin mining and...
There are transaction charges. Not every single cent makes it all the way through, but the same is true when you pay through PayPal or you pay through...
No. That was what I was asking, though, because I understand that, if you're using third-party gateways and things like that, there will be a transaction fee because everyone has to get paid.
And the same is true with Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
The biggest limitation with Bitcoin is that there can be time lag.
Okay.
Right? When I tap my card to buy a coffee, my normal bank card to buy a coffee, it confirms within seconds that transaction's all good and I can have my coffee.
Yeah.
The same isn't true if you're using Bitcoin at its base layer.
Yeah, okay.
There are solutions that have been developed, but pretty much all of these solutions and Bitcoin itself depends on mass adoption.
Right.
And that's why it worked in a place like Venezuela, was because the pain was so acute that the lumpen proletariat all went and got...
It doesn't count now.
I know, but I'm just saying I could have, right?
Yeah.
I could have, would have, should have. I would have been a contender. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, coulda, shoulda, shoulda.
So they adopted it in sufficient numbers that all of a sudden, you could buy your groceries on Bitcoin. You could. I met people that were running entire businesses. Now they were generally online businesses. They were offering services outside of Venezuela, getting paid in Bitcoin, paying their team in Bitcoin. Their team were able to. Some of them were able to pay their rent in Bitcoin. Buy groceries in Bitcoin. There was an entire subset. It was still a minority, but it was an enormous minority within the Venezuelan community that had shifted their entire lives across to Bitcoin, and that's how they survived.
I've watched like quite a lot about it. I rode that Bitcoin wave early days, and I actually made a little bit of money, not heaps, but like I made about 10 grand a long time ago.
Yeah.
I wish I had kept it because that would be worth. But you know, like back then it was so volatile and we didn't know anything anyway. But I feel like a lot of people, I've seen this happen. A lot of people jump on because of FOMO and then get rolled and lose money. So I think there's a real lack of financial literacy around different ways of rolling out cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
And it worries me a little bit that people are like, oh shit, I better do this. I'm like, if I can't explain it to a 5-year-old, I'm not doing it.
And I wouldn't necessarily suggest people get onto it as a store of value. So there's two different ways you could view it. You could view it the way you'd view gold and silver. It's not what you use for transactions, but it's your hedge against inflation.
You're holding it.
The problem is Bitcoin does not currently behave like a hedge.
Yeah.
Bitcoin behaves like a stock.
Because it's volatile.
Well, not so much because it's volatile, which direction it goes in depending on the news. A hedge, the whole idea is that it's what protects you when there's bad news.
Okay.
So watch what happens when there's bad news, gold goes up.
Yeah.
Right? Now, sometimes when there's good news, gold goes up as well. But oftentimes people rush into gold because they go, oh, the economy's bad, the numbers are bad, things might turn bad. I want to get my money out of the economy and into gold. It's seen as this separate thing, a hedge. It's a protection.
Yeah.
With Bitcoin, when there's bad economic news, it drops the same way that stocks do. So people are viewing it not as a hedge, but as a speculation.
Can I ask what will probably be a really dumb question? I watched a video on the Great Depression a couple of days ago because I was still trying to understand. When the stock market goes down, it usually goes back up. We know this.
Yeah.
So I know it's panic and people are trying to pull it out. But why do people panic knowing full well that it fluctuates and it's always going up and down? This is the bit that I'm trying to... Because it's like, oh, you know, such and such money was wiped off the NASDAQ or such and such money... Like, you know, Elon Musk can lose $45 billion in a day. And then he's a trillionaire the next day.
Yeah.
That volatility, I don't understand that value.
There's two key reasons. Well, so the value is just the number of shares multiplied by the value of the shares.
No, I get that. But hang on, sorry. So if you're... Okay, let's use Elon Musk just for simplicity's sake. Let's say he's worth $100 billion. But then something happens at Tesla and then he goes down to worth $50 billion.
It doesn't change his life at all. Not in the slightest.
It just means that the evaluation of that has lost its value, but then he does something good and it goes back up.
Yeah.
So when people say, I've lost my life savings or I got wiped out, how is that so?
Okay. Because most people are not actually investing in the shares, the underlying shares themselves.
Yep.
Sorry, not most. There's an enormous amount of people that are investing in derivatives.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to go into derivatives. There are different kinds of derivatives. There are futures, there are options. Those are the main two that I'm familiar with, but there are others out there. And essentially what that does is it gives you leverage. It allows you to buy more shares or to control more shares than you have money to control. So if a share might be $10, but I could get control over 1,000 shares by buying a call option, which might only cost me $10. Mm-hmm. And it's essentially a bet. You're gambling on the outcome. And in the case of an option, it will have an expiry date. And
are you gambling on the fact that your $10 share will be worth 100 in a week's time?
So it's not a $10 share. It's a $10 contract where you control 1,000 shares,
right?
Which in this particular example is $10,000 worth of shares, right? And so you might say, I want to buy an option. It is the option to buy these 1,000 shares at this price, which is currently more than what they're currently worth, all right? And so you might get that option pretty cheap because a lot of other people look at it and go, no, it's never going to get there. Not inside the 2 months or however long before that expires. If you're right and it gets above that, then you get to buy them for that amount of money and immediately sell them for the increase and you pocket the difference. Okay. Now, that all happens automatically. It all gets settled automatically and you just make that money. Or if the stock starts to head up, well, the value of that share is going to increase because more people are starting to think, oh, hang on, maybe it will get there. Yeah. Right? And so you can just sell the option itself and pocket the money on the option. Yeah. The point is it's leveraged. Yeah. Right. So if I then, for example, buy a put option, which means I'll make money if it goes down, basically.
And is that like shorting?
Shorting. Okay. So shorting is doing it to the underlying asset, the actual share itself, whereas the option is basically playing with a piece of paper that allows you to profit off the underlying asset without buying it. If you're leveraged like that, then a small movement in the shares can wipe out your entire investment, right? So if I've got let's say a call option where I'm going to make money if it gets to here, it's currently there, I've paid money for that, and then the shares do this. This drops to zero value very quickly. Mm-hmm. I need to either offload this really quickly or I'm going to lose all of my money. Or if
Will
I've
it go back up or no?
well, it depends. If I've only got a 60-day term on that option.
Oh, because there's a time limit.
Yeah, on
right.
options
okay.
and
So you
futures.
can't wait a
You
year.
can't just write it out. If you bought the underlying asset, you could do that.
Okay,
right?
cool. So that was a piece of puzzle.
A huge
I was
number of
missing.
people that haven't bought the underlying asset. They're gambling on a time limited basis.
Right.
Add to that, though, even people that have bought the underlying asset may have leveraged. So if you're buying blue chip shares, and I've got $100,000 to do it, the bank, depending on the bank and the shares that I'm buying, etc., they might allow me to buy $400,000 worth of shares with my $100,000. But that means every time that share moves, it affects my balance 4 times more.
Gotcha.
Right? Because I'm leveraged 4 times.
Gotcha.
And so all of a sudden, I become super sensitive to small movements in the price.
Yeah.
Now, there's so many layers to this. People put their money into funds that have different risk profiles and blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is, people are leveraged.
Yeah.
And so that small price movement affects them in bigger ways than you would expect.
Yeah.
Number 2, humans are stupid.
Yeah.
And we're so short-term focused that we're too afraid to ride out a short-term loss.
I remember, I won't say who this person is, but I remember learning something from someone who had a lot of money on paper. It looked like asset rich, right? And then I was asking them questions and I was trying to probe, how they amassed that so quickly, because it didn't make sense for the job they have to have got that many assets.
Yeah.
And it was exactly that. It was leverage. So this person, for the sake of simplicity of this story, had over 20 warehouses, right?
Yep.
Commercial warehouses. And each worth, between 900 to 1.5 million. But they were all bought with the equity of the one before it.
Yep.
So if one goes down,
House of cards.
whole thing goes down.
Yep.
And I remember them telling me this story, and I'm obviously leaving a lot of information out for obvious reasons, but I remember hearing that story and going, that doesn't sound smart. That sounds terrifying.
There is usually, in most economic areas, there is a balance to be struck between rate of growth and rate of return and risk.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people that get out there saying, I bought 30 properties before my 30th birthday, blah, blah, blah. They're not lying, but they have built a house of cards. And if they do that during, let's say, the 5 years or the 10 years when the property market's consistently rising and returns are strong and nothing bad happens, they look like a hero.
Yeah.
The person that buys their book and does their course and goes to do the exact same thing, but happens to hit a moment in time where the market has a blip, well, they lose everything.
Yeah.
So you've got to, just because it's worked for somebody else, past performance doesn't prove, all that stuff. Well, it's true.
Well, this is the problem with financial literacy. I understand it when we have this conversation, but then going and do that, it sounds fucking terrifying to me.
Yeah, and look, there's so many things that I would like to be doing. I've often thought that I would like to build a share portfolio, and I would write covered calls as a strategy for cash flow. So I would sell calls on my own shares, which means if that call gets exercised, I'm just forced to sell the shares that I own. Yeah. Right. So it's no big deal, and I'm selling them for a higher price than what they're currently worth. I might miss out on some of the growth that's happened beyond that, but that's my downside.
Yeah. You're playing relatively safe.
Yeah, and a relatively blue chip, relatively conservative covered call strategy can return circa 9 to 12% per annum, plus whatever capital growth you may actually capture during that time. That's just your return on the selling of the call options themselves. But it's active. You've got to have time. You've got to be able to do research every single month or every single period of time, or whenever you're selling your calls. You have to be able to sit down and do some research and do, what do you think this share is going to do? How much should you be selling these for? Where's the sweet spot in the market where you're going to get the best risk to return ratio? I don't have time.
This sounds very interesting, but I think it's really important we move along to pedophilia.
Look.
I didn't know how to segue that. I was just like,
is that more interesting to you? Is that what you're saying?
No. To finish what we're talking about, I find it so overwhelming, and I want to learn, but it just seems so overly complicated to me.
I came to the realization that I needed to actually just outright earn more.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm just like, I just need to improve my overall income.
Yeah.
Because I think this is the biggest thing. And you guys in the chat, because I don't know how many of you guys are into this stuff either, but that sounds great when you have surplus.
Yeah.
At the moment, most part, like $100,000 income is fuck all these days.
Unfortunately,
it sounds like a lot. And I know a lot of people will argue with me, and I know we've talked about this before, but relatively speaking, to live in a fairly median level house, a rudimentary job, an average car, $100,000 doesn't go far.
If you're a single income household, $100,000 is challenging. I mean, there are people doing it, and there will be people watching this who are doing it, absolutely. And my respect to you, But that's difficult,
Yeah.
yes.
And there's always the same tropes, right? Like, oh, you should live further out, live where you can, whatever. And it's like, well, that's really great if you don't have a job that requires you to be in the city or whatever. Then you're adding travel costs. We've had that conversation before. But, I think at this point, like certainly myself, I'm like, I just have to earn more. It's that simple.
And that's the reason I got to that same conclusion, was because I sat there saying, well, me actively having to manage, let's say, a covered call strategy. Let's say I adopted that strategy. Me actively managing that on a $10,000 portfolio to get 9 to 12% per annum is a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
I need to build that up to a couple of $100,000 portfolio, or if my book goes gangbusters in the US at some point, well, maybe I'll have a couple of $1 million portfolio, and then the time investment starts to make sense.
Yeah.
But if I spend that time now, it's going to cost me so much more in lost opportunity elsewhere that I'm actually going to be going backwards financially.
Well, the same is true for a lot of people, right? Like, it's kind of a joke that people make. You put money into your savings, and by the end of the month, you're putting that money back out to fund, your bills and whatnot. Yeah. So if you were to put that money, that spare cash, into something that you can't touch easily, then you end up shooting yourself in the foot. Your car breaks down. You have a health scare.
Yes and no. I mean, there are people that where that extra layer of difficulty would cause them to get a bit more creative and get a bit more disciplined about discretionary spending. I'm not that I can because I don't have the income for it, but I am an advocate of just accumulating precious metals over time.
Yeah.
Someone that I know bought a bunch of precious metals, sold an investment property, bought precious metals, did it at a really good time. They've made about 30% on their money in the last 12 months or something. Yeah, because it's just gone through the absolute wazoo. And I'd love to be in that kind of a position. I'm not at the moment, but I am an advocate for this idea of, if you can put some money across somewhere where it's a bit more difficult. I know someone else who has a term deposit thing, and they create new little term deposits. Yeah. And because it's 3 months or it's 6 months or whatever, it's kind of locked away. And that emergency that comes up, which it always does, that gets navigated some other way. They get creative, they figure that out, they scrimp and save elsewhere, and they get through that, and then they never actually raid the savings. And so they are able to accumulate. But it's, that's a disciplined lifestyle. And my choice has been, I need to actually figure out how to earn more. And that's why I started releasing enormous amounts of content in January this year. I'm just going full time all the way into this. Some days I'll earn a couple of $100 in a single day off YouTube revenue. Yeah. Like, that's not every day, but there are days where that happens. And you start to put it together across a year, and you start to think of, a few people buy my books every week, a few people buy a t-shirt. You start to put it all together, and you go, actually, I'm earning now. Yeah. And if I can just grow that, and especially if I can tap into the US market and just grow what I'm doing, well, then in time, it'll start to make sense for me to invest.
It's interesting when you talk about the difference between Australia and the US too, because obviously they celebrate success more, and we've had that conversation too. But when it comes to the volume that you can get in the US,
it's nuts.
It's so interesting to me. Like I look at my stats on my Instagram and my our YouTube here and my other YouTube and see where people are. And on my Instagram, I think I have about 30% of my followers are American.
Yeah, right.
Which is amazing. I didn't realize I had that.
Yeah.
But they're so, like, in my DMs, those Americans are always the ones that are just like, yeah, girl, keep going. Yep. You're amazing. This is awesome. I'll buy it. I'll pay the shipping. I don't even care. Yep. The Aussies are so hesitant to support. And
some.
Not all. Yeah. But it just seems to be like I don't know, is it amassing wealth as an average person, is that considered taboo to talk about or to celebrate? Is that an Australian thing?
It's tall poppy. It's an English thing as well.
Yeah.
In England,
is that tall poppy though? Because tall poppy is like, oh, you've had success, and then someone's like, oh, well, you've changed, so they get mad. Or is tall poppy?
Not necessarily you've changed. It's just that you're more successful than me. You must think you're a somebody. You must be selfish. I'm going to try and cut you down to size. Yeah. In the UK, it's based around class. If you're born low class and then you start to have some social mobility, you start to do well for yourself, you will get ostracized by people that you knew in your childhood, etc. Because that does come with the you've changed thing. You're no longer in that class. In America, there are no poor people, only temporarily embarrassed billionaires, right? There's everyone's a billionaire in their head. Yeah. They just haven't figured out how to get there.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
And so it's a very, very different culture. And also they recognize that your success doesn't detract from mine. Yeah. And this is something that I think Australians do. We have a bit more of a fixed pie thinking a lot of the time, where if you've been successful, that must mean that there's less out there for me to go and get. Yeah. And this sort of the competition that kicks in. But I will also say it is just a function of demographics. There's 13 times more of them than there are of us. And also, Americans culturally are much more engaged politically and culturally. Yeah. They're much more willing to have an argument about the culture wars or to have an argument about politics or these sorts of things. which means when they find something that aligns with their beliefs and their views, they want to throw their weight behind that. They're more passionate about that. So 13 times the people, double or triple the passion, and also generally more money. You put all of that together, and a podcast like ours can go,
gangbusters.
Yeah.
Well, having said that, we do have our oddies who are amazing.
And we're growing, and we're getting a foothold down. Every single week, I'm getting at least one, but usually multiple people reaching out to me saying, hey, I just wanted to tell you that this workmate of mine started telling me about this amazing Australian podcast that they've found, and it was yours. And it just seems like it's just sort of popping up.
Yeah,
all
I've
over
had
the
a few
place.
of that too. Like, oh, did you know, have you seen this? And oh, have you heard this? And oh, someone told me about your podcast today. Because I don't actually promote it on my own Instagram.
Yeah.
Not because I didn't want to, more from a
because you're ashamed of me, I know.
I know, it's true. It's true. This is why I let you in my house every week. No, because I wanted people to. I didn't want like my usual crowd to jump on. I wanted to see if we can amass a different crowd, and we are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is great. And my Instagram followers are like, I didn't know you had this. I'm like, now you do. Word travels fast.
Word does. Now we did say that we were getting on to another topic, and I'm just mindful that we're now an hour and 10 minutes in.
Oh, this one makes me feel icky.
Okay, so can we just blast through it real quick?
All right, I've got. Where do you want to give everyone the down low?
So John Adams from Adams Economics got a hold in 2023 of an audio recording that was published and was broadcast by the ABC in 1975.
I can't play it because YouTube did ban it.
Yeah, don't. And it's icky. Like it's awful.
I listened to like 4 minutes and it made me want to vomit.
I haven't got through it, and I'm not going to. I'm not going to go back to it. The interview is an ABC interviewer talking to 4 people who describe themselves as pedophiles, as we would call them. And they talk in pretty graphic detail about what they like and what they do. And it is horrific. It is the stuff that people ought to be locked up for the rest of their life for doing. And no child, they're talking about children, and I'm sorry, this is my one detail that I'll give you. They're talking about children down to the age of 3. Okay? They're not talking 15, 16-year-olds, which already is problematic enough. They're talking like all the way down. And so the ABC, I believe this is correct, in a Senate hearing, said point blank that the recording doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. Then Adams Economics, John Adams, look him up, someone that I do watch from time to time. He does good work. He came out and said, I've got it. And he published it as proof. The ABC are now threatening to sue John Adams. Let's just stop for a second here. Taxpayer-funded, $1 billion a year, lied to our faces and said that a broadcast that happened in 1975 didn't happen and that no tapes of it exist. Then when they got caught out, liar, pants on fire, they want to spend our taxpayers' money suing the person who proved that they lied to us and to our senators.
Is that not just the left summarized?
The level of entitlement is absolutely off the charts.
They will sit there. These are the same people. Like, you got to think about the ABC. These are the same people who have gone after people like yourself and me for daring to have a different opinion to themselves. And they will throw everything at you. They will try and ruin your life, ruin your reputation, ruin your career.
Yeah.
But yet, as soon as the spotlight goes onto these people, all of a sudden it's, how could you do this? I'm going to sue. Well, I mean, look what's happening to Abby Chatfield, for example. She's getting sued now. Yeah. You're seeing a lot of people going, enough, I'm pushing back. And I'm so glad John Adams did this. Yeah. Because this just exposes what we've known for so long about the ABC. It is a leftist propaganda outlet. It has been funded by taxpayers. They aren't journalists. They are ideologues.
And it's not our ABC. It is very much their ABC.
Correct.
Now, can I also say, though, that I owe a little bit of an apology to the people who for many years have been saying, oh, the world is run by pedophiles, blah, blah, blah. And I've been like, guys, can we just not, please? Like, yes, there are pedophiles out there, but can we just not? Unfortunately, when you now add this to the other stuff that we already have, the Heffernan Report and other things, it's kind of like, okay, yeah. I mean, those people didn't disappear in 1975. Yeah, they didn't pop up for one interview and then scurry off and disappear.
They're all in our parliaments.
Well, unfortunately, it's looking more and more that way, and we can chalk up another one to the raving lunatic fringe of the conspiracy theory world. Yeah,
I will agree with you on that.
Yeah,
when people talk about that, it's so outlandish that I'm sort of like, you know what, that I can't stomach that to be true. So you sort of block it out. But even with Candace Owens going after Macron, right? Like the trans thing about that aside, the fact that Macron was 14 when he met Brigitte, and that's now a public relationship. You know, she's the first lady, and no one wants to have the conversation about the fact that that's pedophilia. Like the trans thing aside.
At a minimum, she was a pedophile.
Correct.
If not, he was a pedophile.
And like, so everyone's getting caught up on whether or not she's a man or a woman. I would say, like, can we just talk about the pedophilia?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, but it's fine. They're in love and they're still together after all this time. Something's off with that. But there are so many instances of not just pedophilia, just blatant sexual debauchery. Like, I mean, Diddy, Harvey Weinstein, there's a whole host of them. A lot.
And they're just the ones that we know about. There's an enormous number of people.
Well, they don't operate alone, right? You've got to think of it. This is the thing.
There's an ecosystem in
there
a
has
swamp
to be.
that they swim in.
These people are so famous or so well known or at such high levels of government, they need an ecosystem underneath them to be able to do what they do. Yeah. There needs to be people paid off that you didn't see, like a young boy coming into a hotel room or a young girl didn't leave, you know, bleeding out or whatever. Like, there has to be people protecting them. These people have security and PAs and EAs and promoters and agents and all kinds of people involved in their lives. And a lot of them don't really try and hide what they're up to. Who's procuring the people?
Well, correct.
Right.
So I know somebody who used to be a promoter, and they moved out of just kind of nightclub promoting into event promoting and bringing celebrities and attracting celebrities. And they very quickly discovered that attracting celebrities, there was the written rider that had all the rules and what they want, and then there was the unwritten, the spoken one that had what they actually wanted, and they got out of the industry. Yeah. Because they went, well, number one, I wouldn't know where to look. Number two, if this is what I'm now going to have to be involved in order to be successful in this industry, I'm not doing that. And there's a whole host of people. There's a podcast coming out in a couple of weeks about a musician that has stepped back from the industry and sort of is blowing the whistle on some of the things that were expected for them to be able to have a platform and to be able to do things. And not to sort of sidetrack the conversation, but anyone in today's world that has achieved remarkable success, like not just like, oh, they've done well, no, like proper success, has had to go through some kind of hazing ceremony or paid, like... Every is a strong
No, I would say every.
No, I wouldn't.
I think there are gatekeepers where you have to do something.
But that's why I wouldn't anymore, because in today's day and age, if someone's hit success in the internet age, they haven't necessarily had to go through
if you're
independent,
maybe.
Sure. So... You're correct.
Commercial success.
You're correct in the gate-kept world. Yeah. And that's why Kevin and Sam Sorbo, Hercules and his lovely wife, they left Hollywood. This is decades ago. I think he was still doing Hercules in New Zealand, I think into the early 2000s. I think it may have extended that far. Yeah. But he was already done with Hollywood at that point. And they moved to Florida, and they're kind of pioneering and helping others to pioneer a new sort of set of studios, etc., that aren't the Hollywood studios for exactly that reason. Because they saw what it was that they were now a part of. And it wasn't as bad back then as what it became since, but they could see the direction it was going in and the gatekeeping and all of that. And to their credit, they got out, and other people did too. But yeah, this just to come back to this, you know, I officially apologize to the people that I have not dismissed. I've never dismissed it. I've always acknowledged that there would be an element of it, but I've minimized. I've not realized. Yeah, I mean, the ABC literally just lied to our faces and told us that an ABC report from 1975 platforming and featuring pedophilia, they just lied to us and said that didn't exist, point blank. But
they lie about everything. This is the point. I mean, this is just an example where they're being caught out. I mean, I could give you so many examples of Daniel Andrews during COVID lying to our faces. And then, you know, a couple of years or months later, the truth comes out. But my frustration with all of this is take away the people in power, take away the ABC. Is how are people, the regular public, still falling for this crap? Like you got to think about the people who still watch the ABC or used to watch The Project or still reading these. I
try not to think about those people.
Well, but they're among us.
They exist.
They're everywhere.
They walk among us.
And they'll go, oh no, it was in the news and the ABC said it, so it must be right. These people are some of the best journalists in the country. Well, no, they're not. No, this is the thing.
And this is, I think I've said this to you before, probably on the show. Think of how dumb the average person is, and then realize that half of them are dumber. Yeah. And that is half of them watch the ABC,
and most of them are on Tattle Life.
And also that thing of the Dunning-Kruger effect, where the level of confidence that people who are poorly, who understand the world poorly, is often very high.
Yeah.
And then as people begin to genuinely understand the world, and this is true on any individual issue, but also in that wider just life perspective, that's why teenagers think they know everything.
Yes.
They're filled with confidence because they know a little bit about life. They know more than they've ever known before, but they don't know enough to actually know how much they still don't know. And so their confidence goes through the roof. Well, places like the ABC, my view is that they're designed to keep you in that state of overconfidence. They feed you just enough. They gatekeep the information. Their Overton window is very, very narrow, so they don't allow you to be exposed to how much you don't know out there. They just keep you in this comfortable pocket of making you believe you know far more than you do. And the confidence that comes with that is very, very unhealthy.
But it's also coercive as well, because they're feeding you the information, how they want you to digest it.
Yeah.
You know, Avi's over in Israel at the moment celebrating the release of the hostages, and he bailed up the ABC reporter who, via Avi's words, was spreading propaganda. Yeah. And to be honest, I don't know anything about it, so I'm just reading back what I saw. And, he's scurrying.
Yeah.
He's running away.
Yeah.
And that's so interesting to me. I'm like, hang on a minute. If you believed what you said, you would stand there full-throatedly and go, well, this is what I believe, and you can like it or not like it.
Can we bring that back to another topic that we have touched on before, but I think this is a great illustration of it. That issue of if you haven't earned your way into that position, then you don't know how to keep it. You don't know how to defend it. Someone like Avi is a significant public figure because he earned that through his work, through his debating, his arguments, having more front than Myers to be able to just walk up to people that hate his guts and start conversations.
I could not do what he does.
I couldn't do what he does either.
No.
But he is a public figure because he went and did the hard yards. He did it the hard way.
Yeah.
Someone like an ABC reporter is a public figure because they went through the gatekeepers, they got the piece of paper, and then they applied for the job, and maybe they worked in a couple of shit-kicking jobs publishing pieces of crap for a while, and then finally they got put on TV, and now they're famous because they're on TV every night.
And I dare say it's because they also are willing to be compliant. Like with a lot of these things, there's an expectation that you will toe the party line or toe the company line.
Read the damn script.
Yeah, 100%. And if you go off script, out you go.
Yeah, don't you dare have an opinion. The producer will tell you what your opinion is.
Correct.
And so then when they're confronted with someone like an Avi who has his own opinions and is a public figure because he's done the hard yards, to use that metaphor that we've used previously, the butterfly that's worked their wings to get out of that cocoon is infinitely stronger than the one that gets help, which ultimately dies because they couldn't survive in the outside world. That's the ABC reporters.
It's interesting you say that. This is a little tangent.
Tangent time, tangent time, tangent time, tangent time.
The more you get like that, it's not even on me.
It's not even on you. Yeah.
Shit.
you were doing the dance.
I was. Threw out a shoulder then. I was talking to someone about our podcast, and they're like, I really enjoy it. I think you and Topher have great chemistry, and it's funny, and it's enjoyable to listen to. And I keep saying that project line, like, it's the news delivered differently.
Yeah.
But they're like, no, I see why this works because it's jovial, it's fun.
Yeah.
You don't take yourselves too seriously, and you also admit that you don't know stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's the biggest thing. I thought I was relatively across certain things, particularly stuff that I'm exposed to frequently. But the more I do this podcast, the more I research, I feel so dumb most of the time. The
world is an enormous place.
Yeah.
It is not possible for anyone to really make any kind of an impression on just how much there is to know.
Yeah. And it's like, well, I see this in our comments and stuff. Oh, talk about this. Why haven't you touched on that? I'm like, I didn't even know about it, dude.
Yeah.
I appreciate you know about it. Yeah. I don't know.
But there's also, so I run things through a bit of a triage before I decide to do a video on something because I've got limited time. I can only do so many videos. I've got to pick my topics. Oftentimes they're saying, oh, can you do a video about this? It's already been well covered.
Yeah, someone else is doing it.
What they're asking
really
me for
well.
is my hot take. It's like, well, no, hot takes don't add a lot of value, right? Okay, sometimes they're fun. I do resort to hot takes every now and again because some things are worthy of taking the piss out of.
Clicks.
Well, that too. That's why hot takes are as big as they are. You look in America and something happens and every single commentator, whether it's conservative or progressive commentator, is on there all giving you their hot takes.
Yeah.
And all getting tens, if not hundreds of thousands of views on their hot takes. That's just pure monetization. That's all that is. That's all they're doing at that point. And yes, okay, it is a business. You do have to make money, granted. I'm trying to add value. Yeah. And so people come to me and say, oh, why don't you do this? Well, because it'd be a hot take on a topic that's already been well covered by everybody else.
Yeah.
I'm not doing in-depth coverage of the release of the hostages in the Middle East right now. You know why? It's everywhere. Yeah. There's nothing that I can tell you that you don't already know or can't find out via other channels. But then there's also the issue of, if this is a whole left field topic that's completely outside of my wheelhouse, the amount of research I have to do before I'm going to be willing to express any kind of opinion on this, because I want my opinion to matter. I want it to actually be based on something. I want to be able to defend it if I'm challenged by someone who really knows this topic well. I don't want to fall victim to the Dunning-Kruger effect, Google it for 5 minutes and think that I know enough. Sorry, if that topic is completely outside of my wheelhouse, that is too big of a research project for me to produce one video.
And it is exhausting. I was saying this in the same conversation, like something that I've struggled with. I mean, a big part of it is also overload. Like there's so many things that I'm doing all at once, like between the podcast, uni, all this sort of stuff. So there's only so much time you have. And also there's only so much information your brain can truly digest.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people keep talking about fatigue.
Yeah.
I'm fatigued by this, I'm fatigued by that. Because truthfully, like, you know, I see this often with the Palestine stuff. Why aren't you, this person has a platform, why are they not talking about Gaza? Has it ever occurred to you that maybe they've got so much else going on in their life that their brain's function is taken up by this? And coming across and doing the whole Palestine thing performatively so that you are satisfied is not helping anyone. Doing it from a nuanced perspective, doing it because you're invested in it, I understand that, and I have no issue with people protesting and putting stuff up. But for the most part, this is just programming. Such and such did it, I have to do it too. And the best example of that was that bloody black square in 2020. The Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
I better put the black square up because everyone else did it. And I'm like, no. And I mean, I've told that story before, but you know, when we do these podcasts, hopefully I've got a little bit more brain capacity now that I'm almost done with uni. But it is so hard to be fully across everything.
Yeah. The truth is, it's not hard. It's impossible.
Yes.
You have to choose what you're going to be across, and then you have to actively exclude all the other things, because everything you half-ass outside of that box is detracting from the quality of what you've got inside that box.
Yeah.
Can I make an observation? There was actually a really good example of exactly what we're talking about on the evening of the September 11th terror attacks.
Yeah.
So we woke up in the morning. That happened during our night. We woke up in the morning. I remember finding out about it. I was actually investing in the stock market and dabbling in forex exchange at the time. I was young, but I was dabbling in investment and all the rest of it. And I got up and I checked, and the German DAX had dropped by, I think it was 400 points or something, which was an extraordinary drop for that particular index. And then trading had been frozen. I'm like, what in the world? And I walked downstairs and I said to my brother, who lived, we were both still living with my parents. Like I say, I was young. I said, what just happened with the DAX last night? And he just pointed at the TV. And I looked across, and that was before the second tower had come down. That was
Okay.
And in fact, I think it might have been before either of the towers had actually fallen. I don't remember exactly, but that night there was a regular show. It was like a mock the week type of show, like a comedy news. We're going to poke fun at today's headlines kind of chat game show sort of thing. And the host came out, and it must have been live, I guess, because it wasn't pre-recorded. The host came out and said, you know, there are some days when you want to do comedy, and there are some days when you really don't.
Yeah.
Today's one of those days, but honestly, today's one of those days where comedy's probably more important than ever.
Yeah.
So we're going to tell jokes, not about that, obviously, but we're going to mock other things and do what we do because we think that that's actually the most important thing that we can do in a moment like this.
I would agree.
And then they parked the whole 9/11 thing, and they had a show, and they poked fun and mocked everything else. And for me, and it might have even been on the ABC or something, I don't remember what the show was, but for me that has always stood as an example of staying in your lane in the positive sense, not in the negative gatekeeping sort of sense, I'll stay in your lane. But no, recognizing what you do and the value that you bring, and saying, I'm not going to let something even as horrific as that knock me off that course.
Yeah.
That's what I do. That's the value that I bring to people, and I'm going to bring it no matter what.
And we talked about at the opening of this show, talking about how the temperature has shifted.
Yeah.
And a big part of this is also people now realizing they don't actually have to be a social justice warrior.
Yeah.
And I've seen a whole host of people that I follow on Instagram behaving like this. And, you know, I talk about people I follow or I look at often because that they're regular people.
Yeah.
That's a really good way of seeing what's happening in the broadest context of culture.
Yeah.
If you're only focused on those in politics or those in decision-making capabilities, you're not looking at what's happening as a whole. And so what I look at is different behaviors that people are now showing in the way they show up on socials. And like contrast to maybe like 2021, 2022, I felt like all these people were putting up what I would call performative posts.
Yep.
I prior to 2020, these people were not political, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it doesn't matter which social justice issue it is.
Yep.
All of a sudden, there's this is just outrageous.
The
This is
contagion
terrible.
kicked in.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I watch you because I love your art. Please don't stop doing your art. Keep doing it. I don't want to follow you because you're going to show me like war porn from Gaza.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Someone put this up the other day and they said, I'm so done with having to care about things that I don't actually care about.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but this doesn't impact me and it's making me sad and miserable and I'm not showing up in my life where it does matter.
Yeah.
And that was sort of
That's
paraphrasing.
So I the first couple of weeks of my masterclass is focused on exactly this. Focus. You have a limited amount of ability to focus. You have limited resources of emotional energy, of time, of brain space and focus, of money. You have limited resources and you have an obligation to direct those resources to where they're going to have the biggest positive impact for your own life and for your loved ones, especially your dependents. If you've got kids or elderly parents or a spouse or anything, these people, they're in your life and they're depending on you for something.
Yeah.
And to spend all of your energy on something, I would phrase it differently. The phrase that you just used then, referring to this social media post from that other person, was this doesn't impact me. I would use the phrase, I can't impact this.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So when I look at something like the Middle East, I can care deeply about what's happening. And I do. I look at the amount of suffering. War is a horrible thing. Gaza has been destroyed. All of those people that were either murdered or kidnapped 2 years ago, there's just horror everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere you look, there is horror.
But then you fall into the trap of, okay, well, what about all the other horror?
Well, that's right. What about Rwanda? What
about Sudan?
Myanmar?
What about
What
Congo?
about the purging of Christians in different parts of the world? And you sit there and go, for me, I sit there and go, I cannot influence that outcome. And every ounce of energy that I invest not changing anything over there is an ounce of my limited resources that I'm not investing into actually changing something here.
Yeah.
And I have kids, which means I have a moral obligation to them to make a difference.
Yeah.
I have a wife. I have parents who live next door to me. I have I have myself. I have responsibilities to my future self.
Yeah.
And throwing my energy at making no difference over there, and therefore, I'm too tired, I don't have time, I can't, blah, 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 not putting that energy into where it will make a difference, I think is actually morally wrong. It's not just a case of you're doing this because you're selfish, you want more money, a better career or whatever. No, I think it's morally wrong to throw your focus and limited resources and energy into not making a difference when you could put them into a place where it is making a difference.
Yeah. So that was a great tangent.
Okay.
Back to this pedophilia story.
Oh, wow. Okay, yes.
Yeah. So I'm just reading this Daily Mail article. I'll bring it up for you guys. That's better. Basically saying, they've denied that it exists. Now they have it, and he threatened to play it. ABC reached out and said, do not play it. And then they have taken it down off YouTube.
Yeah.
As I said, I've listened to like 4 minutes. It made me, it just.
Yeah. It's not hard to find. If you want to hear it, it is disgusting. I don't recommend it. Just accept it.
It's John's got it pinned, so it's on
X.
X.
It's on X, yeah.
But basically, the gravity of this is that it's sort of exposing that this isn't new. This has actually been going unchecked for a long time. There was a story just recently. We keep hearing about pedophilia. We've had the pedophiles in the childcare centres.
Yep.
We've talked about that at length.
Which is tip of the iceberg stuff.
Right.
Yep.
We've talked about celebrities, pedophilia, but then things like now we've got the guy who's now trans who raped his own 5-year-old is now in a women's prison.
Yep.
I feel like every second story we hear about is someone is a pedophile.
Yeah.
But then this happened, right? This is another story where a pedophile's dying wish
this is gross.
was to have a victim photo beside his bed. So he was in New South Wales and he was granted the assisted dying program. And he was sentenced to 30 years behind bars for multiple offences, including sex charges and indecent assault against 14 victims. 2 of were his own children. His mother brought the family photo to his hospital bed where he was dying, and he got to look at the photos of his victims. This is sick.
Yeah, you don't have a right to anyone's photo, dying or not.
And obviously his daughter said, this makes me feel sick to my stomach that he was allowed to look at me whilst he died.
Yeah.
no one cares. No one seems to care about the victims.
Yeah.
She has to live with this.
Yeah, this is the thing that we've become so obsessed with compassion for perpetrators, whether they're young and Sudanese
Sad
or
calls
blah,
it
blah, blah.
suicidal empathy.
Suicidal empathy.
Yeah.
And we've become so focused on rehabilitation and prisoners' rights, etc. And yes, even me, and I've talked about this in relation to El Salvador. It's like, well, no, we have to be careful we don't go too far the other way. But if we go too far this way, then yes, the perpetrators end up having more rights than their victims, and the victims get re-victimized.
Well, like just looking at this story, but this seems to always be the case. A thing happens and then they go, whoops, we will investigate it. And then you never hear anything of it. So in this it says, Corrective Services New South Wales Commissioner Gary McCann said an investigation has been launched into the department's protocols. He apologised for the trauma Hugh's dying which may have caused his victims. I don't think you're sorry. There's no sincerity in that. It's just a default statement. And he goes, I'm deeply concerned that the photos were not screened. That concerns me greatly. If there is any wrongdoing by my staff, they'll be held accountable. And then one of the victims told the Daily Mail last month that she was not consulted on his application for assisted dying, and she feels that her father's euthanasia allowed him to escape full punishment for his actions. And I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Well, this is one of my concerns with that judge who outed himself as a pedophile with the images he put up on the screen when he was lecturing.
Have we heard about that?
I haven't heard anything recently, but he was allowed to go on a European holiday. He was bailed and allowed to go on a European holiday because it was so expensive. And as we talked about at the time, he booked it after the police had begun their investigation into him. He booked it after that incident.
Yes.
So it's not like, oh, you already had, I mean, even that wouldn't justify it, but it's not even a case of, well, you already had this thing booked before all of this blew up.
No, it's like, oh, I'll be fine. That shows you two things. One, he was so confident it would be swept under the rug, or two, he just did not care.
Yeah. My suspicion is that he's going to Switzerland.
I agree. I said the same thing. He ain't coming back.
Yeah, I think he's going to Switzerland, assisted dying, and will probably never come back. And to me, we should not have allowed him to do that.
He's 74. And I dare say, I'm trying to see if there's any updates on it, and there's nothing that I can see since August. He will avoid any accountability
in this life. Yes. Yeah. Now, do you happen to have? I sent you the link to John Ruddock's speech in Parliament.
I do have that.
Do you happen to have that? Because I think let's play that now because that's relevant here. So John Ruddock MP, New South Wales State MP. Is all over this. And
he's from the Libertarian Party.
He's from the Libertarian Party, and he has just done a speech in Parliament. I'm not sure how long ago, but it would have been within just the last few days. And I saw this video. I've got John coming on, interviewing him tomorrow, and so I'll be releasing that later this week. But this was his speech in Parliament.
All right, I think this is the full
thing. That this House expresses its deepest concern over the Australian Broadcasting Corporation's decision on the 14th of July 1975 to allow former Late Line host Mr Richard Neville to broadcast an interview with three self-described pederasts about their graphically worded sexual abuse of young children, some as young as 3. 2, that this House recognises that the Honourable Reverend Fred Nile, before his time as a member of this Parliament, was the director of the Festival of Light. And A, that the day after the interview, on the 15th of July 1975, the Reverend Nile provided a recording of the interview and his concerns to the then New South Wales Police Commissioner Fred Hanson. B, that Commissioner Hanson said the police would, quote, study the situation to see if the vice squad should be involved. 3, that this House notes that it's concerned that the ABC denied the existence of this interview when questioned by Senator Erica Betts during a question on notice of the Senate Standing Committee on Environment and Communication. 4, that this House commends Mr John Adams for acquiring a copy of the interview in 2023 from the ABC and then publishing it on the 13th of October 2025. 5, that this House further notes that its alarm over the ABC for threatening legal action against Mr Adams as a result of publishing this material. And 6, that this House supports transparency in government, including the ABC, and calls on the Minns government to release all details surrounding the investigation from 1975.
Good work, John. Couldn't agree more. And this is why it's so important. Even though someone like John from the Libertarian Party, he doesn't hold the balance of power. He's not in a position to change legislation to save the country. But it is still so important to support people like him and get more of them into Parliament, because in moments like this, they can make a difference.
Do you know what I find really, really fascinating is that for the last 5 years, we've had all the wokies dig up people's old tweets and cancel people for it, right? Yeah. Oh, they said this one time, therefore they get deplatformed, they lose their career. And we've had so many cases of that. But now you've got the balance of power shifting back to either a more centrist or more conservative kind of way of thinking. we are digging up, this is from 50 years ago.
Sure.
And we're trying to hold people accountable for terrible things. And you've got the left going, I can't believe we're concerned with this. This is ridiculous. This is a waste of everyone's time. It's like, well, hang on a minute. When the shoe's on the other foot, you sure get pretty upset about it.
Yes. And I'm sorry, but someone wearing blackface at a dress-up party 20 years ago is pretty insignificant in comparison to our national taxpayer-funded broadcaster platforming pederasts who then never got punished as far as we're aware, and then trying to deny to the taxpayers that paid for their budget for 50 years that the tapes even exist.
Well, they're trying to normalize it. That's what I feel like this, right? The 1975, it was just after the sexual revolution, and it was sort of the disco days. So they've kind of like sort of floated the idea just to see how's everyone reacting.
What's the vibe?
And they're like, no, okay, maybe not yet. All right, we'll put it back down. And then they just tried it recently in the last couple of years. MAPS, minor attracted people.
Person.
Let's just float the idea. Let's just see, is anyone feeling all right? No. And we have seen case after case after case, and I've talked about all these cases on the podcast. The one that's I'm not ever going to get over is the gay couple who adopted the 2 young children and then hosted parties and filmed it all. That story, I want to be there to watch like God punish them. I really do. I just want to see, like, I'm going to be careful with my words. It makes me so sick that this is still happening, and we are having people who are literally going on mainstream media channels to try and normalize it or to justify it.
And these are situations that, in my view, we've debated the death penalty before. We've talked about the need for an extremely high level of evidence. It can't just be guilty beyond reasonable doubt. There has to be another higher threshold. But there are some crimes where I do think you cross a threshold where you say, okay, you're done, you're out, and it's okay, not the death penalty for being minor attracted, but yes, for acting on that, and especially in ways that are really harmful to the people that you're acting on that with. This is the train station situation that we talk about, where there's this train of progressivism, and people use the argument, it's the current year, it's 2025, we don't think like that anymore, we think like this. It's this idea that we're on this journey to somewhere. Yeah. Well, where's the destination? Where are we going? Yeah. Because the gay rights movement thought that we were going to gay rights and maybe to gay marriage. Yeah. Right? But the train didn't stop there. Yeah. The feminists thought that you go back a little bit, the feminists thought that we were going to legal rights in a divorce, the right to vote, the right to property ownership, and to have an equal say in court, to have your testimony taken equally in court along with the man's. That's where they thought they were going. And then the train kept going. And what's happened now is the people who earlier on said, well, hey, if we legalize gay relationships, then next they're going to want pedophilia. Yeah. And a bunch of gay people said, no, we don't want that. Yeah. And okay, you as individuals don't. Yeah. But that's where the train's going. 100%. And the people who do want that are going to hijack your movement. Correct. And they're going to say, well, now that we've got this, really, we should be talking about this next. And that's exactly the normalization that you're talking about. Yeah, the horizon line keeps shifting. Yeah. Well, we've normalized that now. That's no longer seen as taboo. We need to keep pushing that thing. And, that's what they're arguing for, not only with the pro-Palestine movement. Now they're like, well, no, they should have Sharia law. And it just keeps going. Like, it has to escalate because they've attached their entire personality to these movements. Yeah, and as soon as it gets they can't get off the train. It's a little bit like that beauty thing before. It has to be hard. Yes. You have to... They're going to be fighting for something. Correct. It's got to be right out there. And as soon as you win this fight, you have to find the next one. I said on Monday's podcast that the left need an enemy. That's why they do it. But the thing that has really taken me aback this year, and I know we've talked about it at length on multiple episodes, is just how in our face pedophilia is. Yeah. Like... It, as I just said, it feels like every second news story is talking about a pedophile, and yet nothing seems to be done. Nothing seems to be pushing people to like really take action. Like, why isn't anyone leading the charge around this? Yeah. Enough. Well, there are people that are, and let's not forget the legal process takes a lot of time. So the legal process for that guy that was working in childcare centres, blah, 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 that's going to play out for a while. And eventually there'll be a headline saying he's pled this way or that, or, the hearings have started, and eventually he'll get a sentence. And so, I mean, look at how long it took with the mushroom thing, right? That took ages. So the same thing, unfortunately, the wheels of justice grind slowly, but they grind exceeding fine. Not always accurately, but they do grind very fine. They certainly destroy everything that gets fed to them, that's for sure. Whether it deserves to be destroyed is another matter. But this does take time. So I'm going to kind of defend it on the basis that we do need to let the process play out. But I do think there needs to be, to steal the language of the left, a wider conversation about
a wider conversation that they always try to control.
Well, we need to actually have an honest look at the fact that if this is what we know about, it must be everywhere. These conspiracy theorists who said that it's everywhere, there must be more substance to that than what I've given that credit for in the past.
Yeah.
Because it is literally, like, you're right, every second, you're like, hang on, if this is what we're finding, what are we not finding?
So I say good news, and I'm saying that to be quite facetious, but this story popped up. So the front man of the band Lost Prophets was murdered in prison, and he was serving time for being a pedophile. A
bit of rough justice. Yep.
Yeah, and we know that, right? Pedophiles are at the bottom of the pecking order, and often,
and rightly so.
Yeah, the prison population takes matters into their own hands.
Yeah.
But part of the problem with these pedophiles is they are put into secure units.
Yeah,
they're
protected.
They are protected even in prison. So they commit some of the most heinous crimes, and yet they're still protected because they're more important.
Okay.
Like,
question without notice. There are two unrelated but similar incidents. In the US right now, there's a guy running for sheriff who is believed to have killed the person who preyed on his 14-year-old daughter. And he's getting a lot of support in his run for sheriff. In Sydney right now, there's a guy who I think it's still alleged at this point is accused of killing the attacker of his daughter in Sydney. I'll dig these up. I'll try and find them for Monday next week. And yeah, there's the report that I saw was, there's a disturbing amount of support in the community for his actions. I'm like, no, that's not a disturbing amount of support. That's support for some justice actually happening, because we all know that if he'd done the right thing and had them handed over to the cops, justice would never have been done.
Yes, and I have warned about this, the vigilante justice, and we're seeing it now. You just talked about old mate who got caught in his jocks chasing the youth offender.
Have you got that video just to show everybody the eye candy?
I'll pull it up in a sec.
Yeah. I'll pull it up for sure, watching that video.
I'm not okay. I'm not okay.
We know that.
Yeah, but this is what happens. People get to a point where, like, it's a pressure cooker, and you're seeing all of that pressure start to build. People have had a gutful.
Yeah.
Not only are they dealing with cost of living and after the pandemic and all the other things that we talk about, it's now, maybe their home's been robbed, or maybe their children are being bullied, or maybe they're being pushed to breaking point where they start to take actions into their own hands. And to be honest, I don't condemn them for it.
It's a hard thing to condemn, and I'm not going to condemn it. We have been betrayed. The government said, leave this to us. We've got this. This will be better if you let us take care of justice and policing. You're going to disarm. You're not going to take matters into your own hands. You're not going to be a vigilante. You're not going to seek your own justice. We're going to do it for you, and it'll be better. And then it's not better. In fact, it's a lot worse. And you could argue that the justice system is facilitating criminal behavior.
And it's getting worse, right? Like, I've given so many examples, and there's even more. And I feel like everyone that watches this podcast will get sick of me showing more and more crime clips from Melbourne.
Yeah.
But they are bailed almost immediately.
Yep, correct.
There is no justice. The kid that severed the man's hand? That
he's back out.
He's out on bail.
Yep.
He's fine.
So the 5 kids that stabbed the father and son on
Crown?
Next to the river in front of Crown, 4 of those bailed immediately.
Yeah. This makes no sense. And then to see that cavalier, smug bitch, that's what she is, be offended by it, get up and tell us that Melbourne is safe and that it's booming and that our bail laws are working. How on earth does anyone sit there and swallow that?
How much did those bins, the machete bins, cost? 13 million, was it?
No, we'll get booted off YouTube for saying that. There was
the program, the whole program, with all of the promotions and everything else.
13 million.
$13 million. Now, this number will be high by now, but about 2 weeks ago, the number they were claiming of machetes that had been disposed of was 6,000 machetes. Now, just off the top of my head, that's about $2,000 per machete that's been disposed of for the whole program, not just for the bins, for the whole program. How much does it cost to make a machete? Well, you buy some metal and a $100 grinder from Bunnings, and probably some leather or maybe like a tennis racket. The binding around that, stick that around the bottom end, including buying the grinder. You're going to make them for $150.
But not only that, like, okay, you've banned the machete, which, to be honest, is a fairly subjective term anyway, because what is a machete?
Yeah.
And then you can have a kitchen knife. So, okay, I've made this point before, but I'm going to bring it up because it's relevant. The Aboriginal boy, the Indigenous boy who was murdered a couple of weeks ago, he was stabbed with a kitchen knife. And there's footage. These teens are filming themselves doing the crime. Yeah. And they're still let out on bail, right? Why would you film something? That shows intent. You're holding
there's no question there's intent there.
But you know, when it comes to, to be fair, this is outside my scope of knowledge. But when it comes to the legal system, you've got first degree murder, second degree, and I think a lot of it has to do with intent or showing motivation or premeditation.
I think those are American categories. I think in Australia we classify it differently. But yes, there are different levels of charge that will be brought against you depending on intent being part of it.
If we have them filming it, posting it on social media, boasting about it, that shows not only is it intent, there's likely premeditation there. They've thought, I'm going to go get this weapon and then find this person to stab them.
And there's also intent to continue. So of those 4 kids that got bailed,
they went back to the scene.
And one of them was boasting about how once you've stabbed somebody, you just want to keep doing it. It's intoxicating, right? I mean, these are
kids, man.
Yeah. So I've said it online. I'm going to say it again. If there is any adult male in the lives of these kids, they need to get a bunch of other adult males, bring those kids into a room, lock the door, and humble them.
Yeah.
Literally for their own safety. These kids are on a fast track to an early grave and probably going to take some other people with them when they go. For their own safety, they need to be humbled. And if that includes being hospitalized for 6 months in traction, eating through a straw, so they can have a think about what they're doing with their life, that is going to be doing them a favor.
Yeah. This is what the cotton wool approach to parenting has done. And look, for the most part, a lot of these kids don't have good role models. I'll give them that. A lot of these kids are actually in state care, which, you know, they're likely traumatized from. I'm not denying that they've had difficulty.
Okay.
But approaching them with cotton gloves and saying, oh, you know, we're going to look after you, you are only enabling them. And I've made this point about Nayab, right? There comes a point where you cross a threshold where being kind and empathetic doesn't work, and you're also punishing the victims and the broader community.
We have crossed that threshold in these cases.
Yeah.
Regarding the state care, yes, understood. Traumatic, challenging, not a good upbringing. But also out of state care, you've got people like Crystal Mitchell, the former cop who went on to have a decorated cop career, 15 years in the service, and then on principle resigned and gave up that whole life that she'd built for herself because she wouldn't let go of her standards, her principles, her morals. That person also came out of state care.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, state care is not a good enough excuse to say, oh, I'm stabbing people because I was in state care. No, you're stabbing people because you've decided to stab people.
Can I make a point that might be a bit of a stretch?
Okay.
Right? And forgive me, I'm sort of thinking about this as we're talking. But like I said, for the last 5 years, definitely, but I would say the last 10 years, opinions like ours were suppressed, right?
Yeah.
And we weren't allowed to say them. These kids, some of them are 13 up to 14, 15, 16.
Yeah.
They have grown up in the time of social media where it was great to be a victim.
Yeah.
You got the more victimhood status you had, the more you were elevated, the more
They've never known anything different.
Correct. So a lot of them, I am not denying they've probably had terrible upbringing, so they've probably gone through some absolute trauma.
Yeah.
But remember, that is a good commodity you have these days. You can commodify that. That is currency. Because now you can just be like, absolved of all your sins. Oh, well, no, but, you know, my life's been really hard.
And that's exactly what they are doing in the courts.
Whereas, imagine for the last 10 years if opinions like yours and mine and the like weren't suppressed.
Yeah.
Imagine if there were good role models. People wonder why Andrew Tate popped up, because you stopped rational, civil, and commonsensical voices from being able to say the thing out of political correctness.
Yeah.
And because you
might
did
hurt
that,
somebody's feelings.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because you're more worried about feelings and being sensitive and always speaking up for this unknown victim, right? It might hurt someone. Who?
Yes.
Which someone? Who's this person?
And the white knight syndrome that comes in. Oh, we have to speak up on behalf of all of the other oppressed groups out there because obviously we're the ones that can make the difference, right? Which is just removing all agency from them.
Correct.
These kids need to be taken to like a boot camp type scenario.
They need to be put through friggin' Hell Week by the Navy SEALs. That's what they need.
And to actually have all their privileges, essentially all their rights taken away. The things, there's a reason why kids, a child's parent is allowed to violate their rights. No, you're going to stay in your room. You're going to sit in that chair. You're going to keep your seatbelt on. You're grounded. There's a reason why they can do things that no one has the right to do to another adult.
Yeah.
Unless they've crossed into actual crime.
Yeah.
Parents restrict the rights of children and then give those to their children progressively over time for exactly this reason. And when someone is allowed to get to essentially almost an adult age, I mean, these kids are oftentimes 16, 15 years of age.
When are they released from state care? When do they get their independence?
I actually don't know.
Can they be emancipated at 16?
I cannot confidently answer that question.
Okay.
I don't know. It would be around that range.
Yeah.
But, is it 18? Is it? I don't know. But these kids, I'm sorry, they need to actually be put through some kind of a process where they go right back to being children again. And they are treated like children again. They have no rights, no permissions. They earn the permission to do every single thing. I would suggest take them deep into the outback, make them live under the stars for a while, building their own shelters, finding their own food, etc. Not literally leave them to the point that they starve to death or
but
die.
I reckon put them in the military reserve, make them go through it.
No, I'm not in favour of that at all.
Really?
Yeah, having been in the army, that is a terrible idea from the point of view of just the effectiveness of the army, morale in the army.
I don't mean they become part of the army. I mean put them through a boot camp like that.
I would say something harsher.
Yeah.
I don't think that.
Do you know
would
what
be
I
enough.
think? And again, I'm just spitballing ideas here. Like, I've got an older brother, and you've got brothers. Like, we all know men who maybe went off the rails a little bit, or you know, they had all this testosterone and nowhere to challenge it.
What do you mean we know these people? Some of us are these people.
Yeah, right. Like, well, I wouldn't put you in this category, but maybe you've got a past I don't know about.
Who knows?
But I was like that as a teenager. There was definitely those moments where I was rebelling. I think for a lot of these kids, and again, I'm not justifying it. You guys know how I feel about youth crime, but they've got no outlets. Yeah. How are they burning off this testosterone? These kids have got so much energy and they've got a lot of anger and resentment, and you're giving them no opportunities to get it out. So this is how it manifests. Like, imagine if these kids had sport that they could go channel themselves into, and it was celebrated to not only be amazing at sport, but you can win, and being a winner isn't a bad thing. Oh, everyone gets a participation trophy. So what's the incentive to try?
Sure.
Why would you try?
I mean, one of the kids that was murdered by these kids, or kids like them, with the machetes when the two kids were murdered in the one night. One of them was on their way back from, I think it was soccer
they were
or
coming back
or
from
something.
basketball.
Basketball, was it? I mean, those options are available. I'm going to come back to the choices thing. They're making the choice not to channel their energy into that sort of thing.
Well, yes and no, because for the most part, remember, we're running through an era where masculinity is being demonized. Being a man is bad. You know, it's all toxic masculinity.
Sure, but I mean, scoring a goal in basketball is still celebrated. You're still going to get a cheer and a high five from your teammates.
Yes and no, that's if they get there. That's if they get there. So the two kids murdered were at basketball.
Yeah.
But they weren't the ones doing the murdering.
No,
it's
that's
the
right.
other two who
but
weren't
this
there.
is what I'm saying, that option is available to those other ones. They're choosing to spend their energy in machine fights.
Because they're getting more reward from living the life they're living. So that, like, you know, these kids are all engaged in aggravated burglaries and stealing cars, and they're living that grand theft auto life.
They're making money that way, and also they're getting the social props on social media, that social contagion.
Because, and I'm going to make this point. I feel like it's relevant. We have demonized winning. We have demonized people excelling. Yeah. So we give participation trophies. You can't be the winner. Being first place, second place, third place is bad. This is that generation.
Yeah.
They're told that, no, you're all winners.
Yeah.
But do you know where they win? Where they have power or an authority over someone else, and that makes them feel like they've won.
That's their drug.
Going into someone's house, stealing their wallet, and holding a machete to their throat, and then stealing their car. They have power. They haven't had power in any other part of their life. Yeah. I'm not justifying it, to be clear.
Yeah.
But it makes sense to me. So I am empathizing in the sense that these kids have had a very shit upbringing.
Yeah.
But this approach from the government and by the community at large is also not working.
Yeah.
I understand what the causation is. Give them an outlet to channel it. Make them feel like they belong somewhere. Make them feel like they can work for something. I've said this before. Put them in fucking juvie and put them through an apprenticeship. And juvie will firstly take them off the street, get them away from drugs and drinking and other gang affiliations. And not to say that you might not have that in juvie, right? But if the juvies were run well, you wouldn't have all the drugs, right? That's a whole nother story. Give them an incentive, right? And I've said this point before, but it's worth just reiterating. Let's say it's a plumber, right? We know we have a skills shortage in Australia, right? And I know this from my partner. He cannot get an apprentice.
Yeah.
Give them an opportunity to do something. Choose one. You could be a mechanic, a plumber, a chippy, whatever. Pick one. For 4 years, you're in juvie. and you get to learn this trade. And that's all you get to do, right? Because you don't get access to social media. You don't get access to all this shit that's going to take away your focus. You become exceptional at welding, exceptional at woodwork, exceptional at working on a car engine. And you come out and you are employable. You weren't before you went to juvie. But now, and not only that, when you get released from juvie, you're not just like, see you later, go, good luck to you. It's like, all right, this is part of your rehabilitation. We have got you a job and you just have to do this and you're going to earn this money that you should be getting, but we are going to guide you. There's some little guardrails there. I'm not everyone will be saved by that.
Most of what you've described already exists in one form or another. It's not the default, but those programs exist. Your wood shop and your skills training and that sort of stuff. Your vocational training. None
of these kids are in it.
People can get degrees in while they're in prison. The problem is the one that you mentioned there with, they're off drugs and they're off alcohol and blah, 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 because they don't have that in prison. Oh, well, if they were well run, you wouldn't have that in prison. Well, yes, if all of these programs were well run, if our justice system was well run, we wouldn't even be having this conversation because these kids wouldn't have gotten bail a second time. They might have got bail from the first one, but they wouldn't have got it a second time. So the if it was well run caveat, unfortunately, can't be sort of glibly thrown out there. That is the crux of the problem. The problem isn't that we lack those programs. The problem is that fundamentally our justice system is no longer interested in delivering justice. Yeah.
I thought I'd play this quickly because we did make mention of this.
4 out of 5 teens accused of a brutal attack on a Melbourne family are back on the street this morning, with 3 of the boys claiming to have been involved, returning to the South Bank scene on Sunday. One of the teens allegedly involved bragged of being addicted to stabbing people. The random attack of the father and son outside Crown Casino saw the pair bashed before the 23-year-old son was slashed with a knife. The teen, 4 out of 5 teens...
Yeah, and there they are recreating the bashing.
They're freaking
here
kids.
We stomped on them here. Okay, so the one that made that boast, for me, I think should be immediately brought in by the adults in his life, who should take a baseball bat to his ankles and feet.
Yeah, break all the
bones in his ankles and feet.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're going to limp for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You are never going to walk properly again, and you will forever live with that as a reminder of who you allowed yourself to become and as a living testament to what happens to people that allow themselves to become you.
I don't want to share it from this outlet. I'm just going to pull up a different story. I'm going to be careful what I do here. So where is it? All right. So I know the Daily Mail isn't the best news website to visit, but so judge's bizarre message as he frees the alleged machete-wielding teen, 14, accused of trying to hack off a stranger's hand in the shopping centre. We've talked about this story before. I'm so sorry, I cannot pronounce his name. Saruba Anad.
I can't read that from here.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm not even going to try. I did just try.
I'm not even going to do the thing I just did.
Yeah, you know what I meant. Anyway, so a teenager accused of attempting to hack off a man's hand in a sickening machete attack has been given the best wishes of one of Australia's most famous judges. God, this name again. Sarub Anad, 33, was allegedly set upon by 5 teenagers in the unprovoked attack in Altona Meadows in Melbourne's west in July, in an attack that shocked the nation. On Thursday, one of those alleged offenders was released from youth detention on bail by the same person who presided over the epic trial of mushroom killer Erin Patterson. As he released the 14-year-old back into the community, Justice Christopher Beale wished the boy good luck. Protecting the community has been the utmost in my mind, but rehabilitation services that public interest. No, it does not. Clearly it does not.
Not under the current. So we can see that these kids are not being rehabilitated. They're going back out there to reoffend.
But this is what the Allan government has asked for.
Yeah.
This has been handed down by the government of the day. We've read that new rule book, which was to release them at as much as possible.
The new rule book, which sounds exactly like the old one. Yep.
And then that bitch, I'm going to call her a bitch. So if you get offended by that, grow the fuck up. That bitch, Jacinta Allan, gets up and fronts the press and says that our bail laws are working. You mean the bail laws that we've had, the ones that you repealed, the ones that have allowed this crime to escalate? They're working. Yes, they're working the way you wanted them to, which is causing social decay and causing a whole host of victims to be repeatedly victimized again and again because you keep letting these little cunts, sorry, I swore, back out.
And this is the thing. People are going to say, oh, you're always talking about this. Yes, because it's always happening.
Yes,
right?
because nothing's changing.
I would love for this to no longer be a topic that comes up on the Oddcast.
Yeah.
I would love for us to not have any violent youth crime with knives and machetes to talk about. I would love for that to be the case. But we need to keep calling it out, because until either the Labor Party actually grow some real compassion and actually really care about victims of crime, or until the Liberal Party grow a spine and actually start to show up, this is just going to continue.
I found this cartoon, and I think this just perfectly summarises everything. Hang on, I've got to play it from the start. Oh, hang on. Can't have music. Stush.
That's a shame. I was enjoying that song.
Right?
Yeah.
That's suicidal empathy in a nutshell.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want this to be my conversation. Do you know what's interesting, right? You know how people call us grifters?
Sure.
You know what the definition of a grifter is?
Well, someone who provides a false solution to a false problem for profit.
No. There's a problem, and they attach themselves to that problem with the only intention to profit off it, because you're not actually invested in the thing, right? That comment that person made on a YouTube about me having all these things that I've apparently done, and now I'm grifting off youth crime.
Yeah.
Do you know how much I would like to not care?
Yeah.
But do you know how much that's impacted us to the point where, I mean, we had to move from that house anyway, which is fine, but I hated that house. I hated being there. Yeah. And now that we're out of there, I feel like this huge weight off my shoulders. But the money we spent on cameras, the extra protocols we put in place, the way we now have lockup procedures, the way we now have to think about, all right, if the car's here, we've got to do this, and I've got air tags on everything. Yeah. And then I have people who will listen to this podcast and then be like, oh, she's making it up. She doesn't actually care. She's grifting. Yeah. Why would I, honestly, ask yourself this question, why would I show up every Monday, every Wednesday on my Instagram?
Why would she put up with me?
Right? Why would we do this if we didn't care? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so many other things I could be doing with my time.
And this comes back to when I first started doing videos. So I did my first video in 2009. It was about water supply into Melbourne during the drought and the water restrictions we had at the time. And I did it as an audition for a TV show that I didn't get a role in, and that's fine. But people started coming to me saying, hey, can you please do a video about this or about that or about that? And at first I started replying to these people saying, well, have you spoken to an actual journalist? Like, I'm a forklift driver who made a video as an audition for a TV show. Like, come on, guys. Right? Go, you know, I'm sure that if you bring your story to the media, they'll care and you'll get a write-up and blah, blah, blah. And I very quickly began to realize, hang on, no, that's not what happens at all. These people get ignored, they get shunned. None of this stuff's getting spoken about. And in time, eventually, I made my second video, and that really was kind of the birth of Topher, whatever that kind of is. I still don't even know what it is, but here I am. Was because that was the first time I went, okay, I'm going to make a video with a view to trying to bring awareness to something that I care about and that I think matters and that I want to see a change in outcome from. And literally, that video is credited by some people with having changed the outcome of the next state election. That was when the Liberal Party won, and we had the absolute debacle that was Napthine, and before him was... Baillieu, absolute total disappointments. But nevertheless, I swayed the outcome in one seat, and they won by one seat. Yeah. And from there, sort of one thing led to another, and eventually to earlier this year where I went full time doing it. If there wasn't a gap, no one would care. No one would be interested in what I do. The people, you can criticize what I do. Oh, you're just this and that. It's not me watching. Yeah. It's not my eyeballs.
And you don't, not to use the machete, but you don't have a knife to someone's throat going, will watch my content.
That's right. So I do videos people voluntarily watch in their millions, by the way.
Yes.
I don't think that I'm just whatever. Yeah. I'm meeting a need.
Well, I always come back to agency as well, because this is something that the left does. They disenfranchise everyone by saying that they don't know what they're doing. And we just talked about that. Agency plays such a role in this. People have free will. Yep. They will determine what they want to do when they pick up their phone. And often they will watch a video that interests them. Mm-hmm. I know there are people who will hate watch videos and they are different people. It still interests them. But you are still watching and you are still giving that person views, by the way, so thank you very much. But also, like, for the most part, people do what they want to do because they enjoy it or it's fun or they get something from it.
That's where they see value in whatever it is that value is for them.
But then you have this person, again, with that white knight complex going, oh, no, I'm going to save you from this content.
That's right. Yeah.
You don't know. It's like that's the same thing that Karen's trying to do.
Correct. Let's not talk about ourselves. Let's move on
do you
because
I
want to wind up in 25 minutes.
Do you want to talk about old mate? This is the guy. This is the guy you were talking about. This is the guy that saved.
Oh, I hadn't seen his face. I only saw his ass.
Your challenges aren't hypothetical. Neither is our advice.
Yeah, can you turn the sound off? We're going to get a ping. All right. Sorry, guys. We apologise for this break in transmission. Normal programming will resume.
I told you, he's a good-looking rooster. He's a silver
I'm
fox.
the only one on screen, so you must be talking about me.
No.
An homeowner has chased down teenage intruders in his underwear. Let's go live now to Jack
love how that's the
Ward
story.
in Hawthorne. And Jack, this act was all caught on camera.
It certainly was, Deb, from multiple angles. Neighbours are calling him Captain Underpants. It was about 3:30 this morning when 40-year-old Grant Brown realised that there was young people in his house. He heard young boys whispering. He then went to confront them, and that's when they've run out of his house and onto the street. He has given chase in nothing but those underpants. He's chased them for about 200 metres down the street.
Sorry.
And that's
the word underpants makes me really uncomfortable. Underpants.
Underpants.
Sorry.
Jocks. Can we just call them jocks?
Undies. Young boys, a 15-year-old in a laneway. He held him to the ground, and that's when he realised he didn't have his phone on him. So he's then made that young boy call the police on himself. They arrived a short time later and took him into custody, and they also located that second young boy nearby. I spoke to Grant a little earlier this morning.
One of them was trying to jump over a neighbour's fence and went down a laneway. And
straight out of Central Casting.
I pulled him back when he was halfway up the fence.
He was so angry right now.
Resist.
Look at that jawline.
You can call the cops, just don't hurt me.
Roy, my editor,
I just held on to him until the cops arrived.
He's going to love this
Is
segment.
he?
Yeah, he's going to love this segment.
I told you, he's a good-looking rooster. What a poster boy for...
So there is a shot, you couldn't see it very well, but there is a shot of him walking up to the little alley where the kid had hidden, and he sort of stands there with his arms across the alley, and his back muscles and all of that. I'm just like,
You've watched the video more than me.
I watched it one time. I just noticed, all right?
And you burned it into your retinas.
Like, he is literally ready to walk into a Hollywood set and play himself in his own story. The homeowner who goes and chases down...
Masculinity, guys. It's a good thing.
I need to go on a diet. Do you know how to get any Ozempic? Is that...
No, you don't need Ozempic. You could just...
Lap band surgery?
Yeah. Or you
amputate
could just
some limbs.
not make bad choices.
Hey, listen. I like my bad choices.
Do you know what? All of you men watching this, because we are a predominantly male audience, can I just tell you, your ladies like a bit of muscle. I'm not saying you need to have six-pack, but having a bit of a bicep, a bit of a chest.
I have a six-pack every night. Oh, sorry. I mean, right. Sorry. Misunderstood. Sorry. I've upgraded my six-pack to a keg.
A keg?
Yeah, it's bigger.
Weren't you losing weight?
Look, I was. I have stopped losing weight now. I've
relaxed?
Well, I've had to balance between my workload and my headspace and my demeanour and my disposition.
Okay.
I'm sleep deprived basically all of the time. I spend basically none of my time doing what I want to do and all of my time doing what I have to do. I carve out narrow windows of time to spend with my kids and my wife.
On that, you've touched on something. The cortisol is actually a huge part of it too.
Yeah, the stress.
I was in a state of stress for a good 5 years, and I not packed it on, but I was 10 kilos heavier than I am today.
Yeah.
For the first time in God knows how long, I don't feel super stressed.
Yeah.
There's daily stresses, but the overwhelming stress is no longer there, and the weight just went.
Yeah. No, I'm in a phase where I have to pick my battles. So I lost a bit of weight. I'm happier with the shape of my face. I no longer have that balloon look. I need to lose more, but I'm not going to make that a priority right now. I'm hoping that by next year, by about the end of Q1 next year, I will have had my team fleshed out to the point that I can actually start to reduce from the sort of 70 plus hours of actual work. Not that, I'm working 100 hours a week. No, you're not. I'm working 70 to 75 hours a week at the moment, and hopefully I can get that down to below 60 next year and start to, live a little.
Do you know what? Having a team around you is kind of what you need as well. Like, it gets to a point where, you do need to outsource things. Yeah. I'm a stickler for this. I'm not a stickler. I'm terrible at this, I should say, of delegating.
Yeah.
I do everything myself, and then I become a bottleneck, and then I wonder, why I'm stressed and why things aren't working.
Yeah.
And for the first time, I've had means to sort of offload things. Like, I will pay someone to do that. I will pay someone to do that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, God.
And yet you still moved your own house.
Yes, because we're stupid.
You schmuck.
Do you know what I've started doing? I've started doing Carlz online deliveries.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I actually quite like doing my supermarket shopping, but for the first time last week, I had a bit of a kerfuffle where the Uber driver stole the groceries.
No.
Yeah, so...
Hang on. So, sorry. You're going to have to...
Do you want me to tell you the story?
You're getting online... No, I need you to take a step back. I thought when you got delivery, it was like an actual Coles truck that came out
I
to
thought
you
it was
and
too.
dropped off the thing.
Well,
They're using Uber to do their deliveries?
So this is what I learned. So the reason I'm doing Coles is, we don't live near a Coles, and I use Flybys.
Okay.
And every now and then Flybys does like a...
points.
Yeah, I'm a point person from way back.
Yeah.
But they do like a get 10,000 points if you shop at Coles for 4 weeks and spend a certain amount.
Yeah.
And so whenever that pops up, I say to G, we're doing Coles shopping.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was doing my online thing, and the closest Coles is like 15 minutes away. It's a pain in the bum. Anyway, first world problems, I am aware.
Yeah, you poor thing.
So I jumped online, did all the groceries, and it says, do you want them today or tomorrow? And I was like, I would like them today, because I was like, I'll get some stuff for dinner tonight. And I pressed rapid delivery. So that's meant to be in 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was like, oh, sweet, cool. And so I'm sitting in my front office, which overlooks the front yard, which overlooks the gate. And the guy will be here, and it says, it's been dispatched, it's on its way. And then I get this text message saying your order's been delivered. I'm like, no, it has not.
No, it has not.
And they're like, well, yes, it has. And, we also obviously have cameras everywhere. So no, it has not. Anyway, so I jump on to the Coles chatbot. I'm like, hi, my groceries say they've been delivered, but they haven't. And they're like, no, but they have. And I'm like, so you go that whole debacle. Anyway, 30 minutes arguing back and forth. I'm like, aren't they meant to take a photo of the delivery to prove the delivery happened? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, may I see that photo? And they showed it to me. And it was a photo someone's taken through their dash, looking at the bonnet, and then there's like a school behind them. So whoever the Uber driver is like,
whatever.
Dang,
Photo,
boom.
bang. Yeah.
And she said to me, does that look familiar to you? I'm like, does that look like groceries on a doorstep?
On a doorstep, yeah.
And she's like, no, the area, does it look familiar to you? I'm like, I can't tell because I'm looking at someone's
dashboard,
and their bonnet, and it looks like a school in
the driver's seat of a car. Yes, I have been. That is familiar to me. I've been in the driver's seat of a car before.
It does not look like groceries, though. Yeah. Are you familiar with what groceries look like?
Are you familiar with cucumbers?
Yeah. Anyway, so I cracked the shits talking to the person online, and I end up calling Coles directly, and they straight away they're like, yes, it looks like this person's run off with your groceries, because the first thing they're meant to do is put it on the doorstep, take the photo, and then blah, blah. Yeah. Anyway, and now I'm going to get accused of grifting and lying about this.
Insurance fraud, it's grocery
it's
fraud.
Groceries fraud.
Grocery fraud.
Can I tell you, for someone who has been accused of so many crimes, I sure seem to be remarkably good at getting away with it.
Criminal mastermind. Although, can I say, given how much money you must have made with all of these schemes over the years, how are you so broke?
Well, it's... You explain it to me. This is the thing.
Because you didn't buy Bitcoin, that's why.
Apart from being accused of working for, I was going to say Hamas, I mean Mossad,
Just give it time, that'll happen.
Yeah.
You'll collect the whole set.
Correct. Yeah. I work for ASIO and Mossad. I've grifted, I've done insurance fraud, I've done...
Grocery fraud.
Yeah, grocery fraud and all these things that allegedly I've done. Tell me how, with a very public Instagram and now a podcast that's growing in popularity, my actual face, my actual birth name as appears on my birth certificate and my passport, I've never, ever, ever been in trouble. Explain this to me.
I can't even boast of that. It's a bit like when Martha Stewart and
Snoop Dogg
were on the cooking show. Like, there's a convicted felon and a famous chef, and it's the convicted felon is Martha Stewart. You know?
I just find it funny that I'm like, oh, I've done that. So now the grocery thing, they're like, oh, I knew it. She's doing grocery fraud now.
I would feel really ripped off if I found out that my groceries that I'd ordered from Coles for delivery was not being delivered by Coles.
Yeah, so if it's rapid delivery or it's that same day,
it kind of makes sense now that I
think
about it.
It's DoorDash or Uber.
Yeah, it's not wrong. It's it makes sense, but I'm like, no, I want that little truck.
Yeah, so that's
meant to be refrigerated. Like that means that you've got non-refrigerated conditions on those items.
Yes, but that's why it's rapid. So it's literally Coles and Woolies go and pack it for you. It goes in the Uber and it goes straight to your house.
So I spent 7 years working in the supply chain to Coles. We were specifically in the refrigerated supply chain. All the fruit, all the veggies, and all the milk used to come through us. And then actually for a time we had some prepackaged salads and some deli products, meats and things like that. we were taking temperature measurements relentlessly throughout that facility. We had different rooms that had to be different temperatures. Things had to move at a certain speed in order to, obviously have enough use by date left by the time they reached the shop. And we had to track and record temperatures time and time again, relentlessly throughout the day. The idea, and the trucks themselves that deliver to the stores are refrigerated, etc. The idea that they will just lump that into the front footwell of someone's car and drop that off at your door. Like, I get that that's what we do with our own groceries, but that's still in their custody. That's still within their chain of custody. That blows my mind.
But also, when you're ordering something through Uber Eats, you get a little map of where your little dude is.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see where they're moving. With the Coles thing, they're using a third party. And she said it's either DoorDash or Uber. You don't know who, and you don't get that. But I said to be fair, the lady on the phone, she was amazing. And she gave me a refund, and then I just reordered the groceries. But she said, look, I don't want to say that it's common, but it happens more frequently than we'd like. And I'm like, so it's common then. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. But... yeah, so now if you want the Coles van or the Woolies van, you have to do it like a whole day before.
Yeah,
Which,
fair enough.
Yeah, to be fair. Or I could just get in my car.
Let's come back to first world problems. Like,
all right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Chief Minister, Lia
Finocchiaro. I need to see it again.
Okay, hang on. I'll bring it up on screen.
Bring her name up.
I
can't read that.
Hang on, I'll zoom.
Lia, scroll.
I
need to see left.
Oh, look. God, what's going on? Hang on.
Lia Finocchiaro. Yeah.
Right.
Well, Lia, well done. So Lia, for those that are listening rather than watching, she has announced that there will be no trans women, i.e. men.
I will play this clip.
Okay, cool.
I can't believe that we're seeing these woke agendas and these ideologically driven policy from Labor premiers and prime ministers who are putting the rights of people who identify as a woman, the rights of men who identify as a woman, above the rights of women who are vulnerable and in prison to be safe. We have very clear rules. Here in the Northern Territory, if you're a bloke, you go to a men's prison. If you're a woman, you go to women's prison. It's very clear cut. There are no shades of grey.
How hard is that?
Scenario in the Northern Territory.
How hard is that?
I can't believe that we're
freaking common sense.
Like,
it's making a comeback.
And yet it feels foreign. It feels
hearing
subversive.
That makes you feel like, wow, someone had the balls to say the obvious thing.
Yeah, but it also has that sense of, oh, hang on, let me just, is anyone else overhearing this? Because I could get in trouble for this.
With a lot of this stuff too, like obviously if someone has to go first and you cop the flack and people like us, like, political commentators or commentators in general have said this for ages, but now like you're getting people in positions of power saying the thing.
Now, Lia has always been one of those sorts of people who's willing to say the thing.
Yeah.
She wasn't on board and now she's leaving. She's always been that person, and her actually becoming the Chief Minister in the NT, I think, is a story in itself. Not that I follow their politics closely, but that's a really good sign, a really good step. What we need to see is some of these people who've previously been on board, i.e. Susan Lee, either have that come to Jesus moment and start to say things like that, or get out of the way for people who will. And
stop being worried about what would be perceived as public backlash. So I think we talked about this either last week or on Monday. With a lot of these people, they are on board with your sentiments. They agree with you, but they don't want the public backlash.
Yeah.
And as someone who came to this public figure capacity through a baptism of fire.
A little involuntarily,
A little involuntary. Now I see comments from, old mate on the YouTube or the Tattle Life shit, and I laugh. Go harder. You cannot get my name out of your mouth. You just need to keep being obsessed with me. Please, continue on. It's great.
Yeah.
These people need to get over it. Like, Susan Lee wants to be liked. You can see that. She's trying desperately to prove her point.
Yeah.
Be disliked.
Yes,
it's
correct.
okay.
Correct.
Let people be a bit mad at you. That's okay.
If no one's mad at you, it's one of these quotes that's attributed to Churchill, which of course every quote is. So I don't know if he actually said
Churchill or Aristotle.
Yeah, but supposedly Churchill said something along the lines of, so you have enemies? Good. That means you've done something with your life.
Yes.
This is absolutely true. If you don't have someone who hates your guts, you haven't done anything.
Yeah.
You haven't stood for anything. I've talked before about the whole I like kittens thing. If you just say on the internet, I like kittens, sooner or later, someone's going to hate you because they think dogs are better. Someone else is going to hate you because you didn't condemn puppy farming and all the rest of it. Someone's going to hate you because you think that owning animals is okay. And how dare you be such a human supremacist? We're just animals too. Like, if enough people hear it, someone's going to hate you. You cannot express anything. So if no one hates you, you must have had no impact on anything.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, 100%.
You've
You're
done
just an
and
NPC.
said nothing.
You're an NPC.
You've not even left a shadow.
And the other thing is too, I'll add to that, if you are someone who has those beliefs but you don't have the courage to say it, you are still an NPC because you're a coward.
Yeah.
And I don't say that to be nasty, but that's what it is. You are letting someone else's opinion of you regulate how you show up in your own life.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
And we lived this reality during COVID
Yes.
where you'd get these people saying, oh, look, I agree with you, but I just, I'm a cop, I don't want to lose my job.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we need you to speak out.
Yeah.
You
so
of all
we'll do it
people,
for
you know.
you and we'll cop it for you.
So we'll cop all the slings and arrows, and then in the years to come, you'll be like, oh, I was right there with you.
Yeah.
No, you were not.
No. I find it really interesting. So I'm copying it at the moment because I'm going hard on feminism, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And I've spoken up on my Instagram, I've spoken up on this podcast, and of course, all the wokies, all the people who don't like me have taken huge issues with that.
Yeah.
And again, you know, it's the same insults. Like, you just keep recycling them. They don't mean anything anymore. I have been called everything.
Yeah.
And I find it really interesting. And I screenshot it all, and I have a folder on my computer just full of screenshots. And I'm like, one day I might need that. And I come back to all of these people who have gone out there with this super pro-feminist approach, how men are terrible, or like whatever it is, like all the narcissism, everyone's got I said this last week, everyone's got ADHD, everyone's got some kind of thing that they're, you know, to their victim card. I will be so interested to see, as things shift back, how many people just like quietly remove their pronouns, quietly take that down.
Happening.
Yeah,
it's
because they're realizing that it's no longer cool. Well, we had Emma Watson and the J.K. Rowling thing.
Yeah.
She's coming out saying, oh, I'll always love her. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
You literally threw her to the wolves.
Was it Emma Watson who did the whole self-partnered thing?
Yes.
Like, oh, gosh, how insufferable.
And I've seen that. Like, that's popping up now. I've seen
Yeah.
people saying, oh, I'm dating myself. I'm self-partnered.
Yeah, gosh.
You mean you're single?
But that graph that I showed earlier, or that you showed earlier, about the number of people
Trans.
identifying as non-binary, it's dropped off a cliff.
Yeah, because
right?
it's no longer...
It's falling away as quickly as it was climbing.
Well, they're not getting the social credit anymore because when you're the first couple of people to do it, everyone's like, oh, wow.
Yeah. Also, though, it's no longer difficult. It's
Yeah.
no longer hard, right? And so already it's been devalued. The currency is inflating away.
I'm standing by my original sentiment with this, which is trans is just the emo movement of Gen Z.
Oh, that's gonna harsh some people's mellow.
Yeah, that's going to piss people off. It
Yeah.
is. Like, not to say that there aren't trans people and hasn't always been trans people, but the social contagion version now, that is just the emo for Gen Z.
Going up to nearly 10% and then falling away again just as quickly.
Well, it was how you became like cool, or not cool because they were never cool, but it was more so like edgy. I'm a misfit.
It's
You
how
don't
you rebel.
understand me.
Yeah, it's how you rebel.
You're right. I don't understand you because you're a fucking idiot. Yes.
Carly, you've got to let go of these shackles and just tell us what you really
I know.
think. You know, just stop holding back.
How many times have I sworn? I think I've sworn 10 times.
This podcast could be fun if you just let go, you know?
Imagine if I was actually myself on this podcast.
Oh, goodness. I'm not ready for that.
You know, someone said to me...
Help.
Someone said, no, it was a comment. Someone's like, oh, this girl needs to lay off the coke. And I'm like, dude, imagine if I had coke.
I still want to see you. I still want to see you after a glass of wine.
Oh, G saw me the other day. What did I drink? He gave me something. I had some Baileys.
Rohypnol?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I had a glass of Baileys. And literally after about like 3 or 4
Like
sips.
a glass of Baileys? Or
Yeah,
just
just like a
a
shot.
hot chocolate with some Baileys in it?
No. It was like Baileys on ice with a bit of milk. Because he gave it to me on ice. And I was like, no, you got to put milk in it. Like a proper grandmother. And I was like, and then straight away I was like, ooh.
Ooh. Carly
remember,
likes this.
I don't drink
It hits hard.
And I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm not on coke, but if I was, watch out.
So I suffered a head injury ice skating when I was, I think, 20
That
years of age.
explains everything.
Explains so much. I've had surgery to put my nose back where it was supposed to be. Not like what you had, but I've had, some. And I remember...
I can rearrange it for you.
Yeah, thanks. So they had to give me a lumbar puncture because I was paralyzed down my right-hand side. I lost power of my right arm, my right leg, and they were trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And they were worried about an aneurysm. Turns out it was probably just swelling in the brain. But in order to try and rule out an aneurysm, they wanted to take some spinal fluid and see if there's traces of blood.
That's the worst. I went through that in 2022.
Yeah, so they've got me on the bed, they roll me on my side, and they do the needle, a little bit of local anaesthetic, and they do the big needle. And they told me beforehand, they said, listen, most of the time it's fine, but sometimes your spinal cord will actually touch the inside of the bone, because they're reducing the amount of fluid there, so it doesn't protect it as well as it should. And your body will kind of panic, right? And if that happens, just don't worry. We've got some morphine right here, ready to go. It'll be fine. So they roll me back onto my back, and sure enough, I have this. It's incredible.
Yes.
It's incredible. Not the amount of pain. The amount of pain is completely overwhelming, but that can happen in other ways as well. The kind of pain. This is pain that is coming from the core of your nervous system. It's not pain coming from the outside in. This is pain coming from the inside out, and it's phenomenal.
I went to ED with this pain. Yes.
Okay. They hit me in the leg with the morphine. And what happened, as the pain hit, every single muscle in my body tried to contract all at once. And I remember being like a T-Rex, like this dinosaur kind of thing.
Yeah.
And my back arching. And then they hit me in the leg. I don't remember them hitting me in the leg, but I know they must have done that, because what it felt like was my back arched up off the bed, and then I just kept floating upwards.
Yeah.
And I never came back down onto the bed.
Yeah.
Because I've never had a painkiller in my life. I've never had an opiate of any kind in my life. And so I got like the full effect, the full proper wide open receptors. I was like, hot damn.
I see what people do this recreationally.
And then what's hilarious, a little footnote on that, the surgeon that did all the decisions, or I think she was one of the surgeons. I don't think she did the operation, but she was assessing me for getting my nose put back in the middle of my face. And she was gorgeous. She was so incredibly gorgeous. I was so smitten. And then I actually met her about 12 years later. She was actually going to my parents' church. My parents were talking, and they figured out, you were actually right. Okay. Yeah, no, that was the drugs. That was the drugs. She was 30 years older than me, and very
drugs work.
Very normal.
On that spinal thing, I'm pretty sure you know this about me. 2022, I was admitted to hospital. I get migraines like you do, but not often.
Yeah.
Like it's 4 a year if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
And I was driving out to Balgownie in the Yarra Valley, which is who I was working for at the time. And all of a sudden I just got this overwhelming sense, and I was like, oh my God, if I don't pull over now, I'm going to, something's going on.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I started getting all tingly in my legs. I'm like, what is happening? And by the time I made it home, I was really not well. I was like, something's happening to my body. Yeah. And then I started losing the ability to walk. Like it's like
generally considered to be a bad thing. Yeah.
Right. And then, as you do, you start to panic. So I called 000, and I kid you not, to be fair, this is 2022. So there's still all this backlog and things going on. And there was no ambulances. And they're like, we can't send an ambulance, but do not drive yourself. We're going to send you a cab. And so at this point, I only lived like not even a kilometre, or maybe just over a kilometre from the Sandringham Hospital. Right. So it's relatively close. And I cannot sing the Sandringham Hospital's praises higher. They are. Right, I've been in there twice, and they're phenomenal. Anyway, get in there, and I'm in the ED waiting room, right? And I'm waiting to be admitted. And I when you're in a kind of pain that I can only imagine is akin to either having your leg cut off or childbirth. Like it was so excruciating that I couldn't even speak. I was just like, And the nurse was looking at me. She's like, "You're not like this is not good. Let's triage her basically." And then eventually, I think after about 15 minutes, I got put in. And the first thing they gave me was an opiate, but it wasn't morphine. It was something like I don't know, maybe tramadol or endone or something. Did nothing. Didn't even take the edge off. And it felt like someone had a freaking branding iron against my spine. That's what it felt like. And I was like hallucinating because the pain was that bad. And this was for about like 45 minutes, and I'm writhing in pain and screaming. I'm like, someone help me. And then in the end, the doctor came over, and he's like, something's on, like it's obviously a nerve thing. We're going to give you, we're going to numb you from the waist down.
Yeah, like a
epidural.
Epidural, that's one, yeah.
And so that's what I did. And as soon as I did that, I was like, this is amazing. I feel nothing. And like this weird wave of relief. Anyway, so I was in hospital for about a week, but it turns out I had an infection in my spinal influid.
Oh, yeah.
And this is, to talk about the health system, Sandringham Hospital doesn't have an MRI machine. It's at the Alfred. Yeah, and even though they're kind of the same thing.
Yeah, physically different campuses. And
they couldn't transfer me. So they're like, what we're going to ask you to do is leave. Discharge. Go to the Alfred, don't drive, but like get a cab to the Alfred and get readmitted, and you'll get an MRI straight away. And so I had to do that. Yeah. And then I went to the Alfred, and then have you ever had an MRI?
Yeah. I had one on my head after my head injury. Yeah.
Seeing your own brain is the coolest
Just
thing.
cut into slices. Yeah. I mean, mine was just a big black void. I'm not quite sure what that means.
On top, very smooth, no bumps. I was looking at it, and sure enough, like, because they were thinking maybe MS or something, but yeah, it was spinal fluid infection.
Yeah.
How I got that, who knows? But anyway, but yeah, they'll show me all the sections of my brain. They're like, so this is where the infection is, and this is what it's doing, whatever. And I'm like, no, I don't care about that. Look at my brain. Wow. At least there's one there.
Yeah.
It doesn't work very well, but there is one in there. Yeah. Anyway.
As a new condition,
Listen to us talking about drugs.
Talking about drugs and spinal injuries and head injuries.
Yeah. No, but the spinal one, that's not good. That
wasn't fun. That wasn't fun. Do we have any more topics?
Well, we have two. One that's actually genuinely dark. First, you made a video on Lidia Thorpe. Do you want to talk about it? We've already talked about it.
Look, only very briefly.
She's an idiot.
I was arrested for saying that people should go and join the protests against lockdowns and peacefully protest. She is insisting that she shouldn't be punished for saying that she's going to burn down Parliament if necessary in support of Palestine. Now, she says it was a figure of speech. That's probably true, but it is still incendiary speech. Now, I want to be really clear about this. I'm a free speech absolutist. I don't think she should be punished. However, our governments, state and federal, are not free speech absolutists, and they do run around punishing people. And if they're going to have a law, it needs to be applied equally. We can't have special classes of people that are exempt. So the law exists.
Yeah.
Is she going to be held accountable to it?
Well, that, and also, Lydia's stunts are out of favour. She's trying to ride the coattails.
She's gone too far now.
Oh, well, but not only that, like the temperature is shifting.
Yeah.
Like even now with Victoria trying to push through this treaty.
Yeah.
That everyone's like, no, we didn't vote for this. We don't want this.
So the Liberal Party have already said they'll repeal that within 100 days if they get elected.
And then Jacinda Allen's coming out saying, this is doom and gloom and these people don't care and they're racist, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah, of course.
But this is no longer, like, she spoke to the base, right?
Yeah.
Like, she fired up her little base.
Yeah. Red meat for the,
but everyone else is like, no, we don't want this. We don't stand for this. Like, so there's no way she'll get re-elected.
No. And I think she knows that, and she's literally just trying to cultivate a little cult, a little crowd.
What does someone like Lidia Thorpe do once she leaves politics? In all seriousness, she's on a very good wicket as far as wage. What happens when because she gets 6 years as a senator?
Usually 6. I mean, it does vary because our elections are not scheduled at specific times. But yeah, presumably about 6 years. 200 and something grand plus.
She was elected 2020, so she's up next year.
She'll be up next year. Plus they get extra if they're on committees and various other things like that. So yeah, they can make a tidy sum. Look, a lot of them will go into consulting, and particularly consulting with governments that want to have consulting with companies that want to have a relationship with government and saying, hey, this is how it works on the inside, blah, blah, blah. Some of them become lobbyists, so they go back to Canberra lobbying for these companies. Some of them will go for plum bureaucratic or diplomatic roles, try and become ambassadors or these sorts of things. In her case, I don't think any of that's really going to be open to her. Yeah. She will probably become a bit of a Greta Thunberg. As a long string of attention-seeking
It's like
stunts.
your Abby Chatfields and your Clems. They're unemployable now. Yeah. They're way too volatile.
In their defence, you and I are largely unemployable.
Oh, 100%.
You're right. So there's a reality. Once you go deep enough into this world, you're not getting a day job again.
No.
Like that's a reality. And so I'm not going to use that as a cudgel against her specifically because that's something that applies much more broadly than just her. But the reality is there's going to be very few opportunities for her because she doesn't have a place and she's proven herself to be incapable of playing nice in a team.
Read Susan Lay's statement? Have you read this?
I have read it. Look, it's relatively unremarkable, except that Susan Lay is actually saying, look, they're going to look into how they can censure her inside the Parliament. They're going to try and do that. I think Labor and the Greens will gang up to stop any kind of censure. Although, I mean, it's not impossible because the Greens are a bit pissed off with it because she was a Greens MP and she since left the Greens because the Greens weren't extreme enough for her. It's not impossible, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. Anyway. Last topic.
Okay, last topic. This one's pretty freaking horrific, to be honest. So obviously Gaza ceasefire.
Yeah.
And now Hamas is rounding up their own people and executing them publicly.
So this is one of the reasons why...
I won't show this footage, by the way, because it's horrific.
It's awful. It's everywhere. You can see it if you want to. It is awful. This is why I've said for a long time that if you care about the people of Palestine, you have to be anti-Hamas.
Yeah.
Right? And that doesn't mean you have to be pro-Israel. You can have whatever views you want about Israel, but if you care about the people of Palestine, you have to be anti-Hamas. The reality now is that Hamas are treating Palestine the way that the Taliban treated Afghanistan after the messy withdrawal from there. This is one of the reasons why the Israelis had said for a long time, and one of the reasons why the ceasefire came as a surprise is because the Israelis had said for quite a long time, we have to actually finish this job this time. We actually have to.
Yeah, because it'll just come back.
Yeah, root and branch actually weed this out. And there is an argument to say that perspective was and perhaps is still correct.
Yeah.
And that this is evidence that perhaps a ceasefire, well, it doesn't mean the shooting stopped. It just means that the shooting between Hamas and Israel has stopped. The shooting between Hamas and the Palestinian people, well, that's still continuing.
Did you see this story? This is the murder of this guy. Now, he apparently died 30 times during this war. This is the press guy, right, who walked around with the press.
Sorry, died 30?
Yeah.
You're going to need to fill me
Okay, so, again, superficial knowledge of this. People don't come for me. But the basic story is this guy had been alleged to have been murdered by Israel over 30 times throughout the last 2 years. It was one of those, he's dead.
Yeah,
oh, wait, he's back, he's back.
Yeah,
right?
Okay.
And every time it happened, it went viral, like, they're killing press, they're killing press.
Yeah.
He's a propagandist. That's what he is. He's a pro-Hamas propagandist.
Yeah.
But he's actually been murdered this time. Like, he's actually dead.
Right.
And this post is basically blaming Israel for it. It wasn't. It was his own people.
Yeah, right.
He was shot. I don't know if it was Hamas or another Palestinian militant, but he was murdered by a Palestinian. And, of course, old mate Greta is blaming Israel for it.
Yes, of course.
And so this is what happened. So they called him Mr. FAFO. And the first video about him was him like celebrating October 7th, right? Like, salivating at the blood. And there is definitely a cultural thing here I will never understand, how these people can stand among dismembered bodies and hold up
and celebrate
heads and be excited. Like, that is a cultural thing. I'm never going to understand it. But that seems to be a very pro-Hamas approach.
Yeah.
And then when we had the protest last week where that woman was speaking up there saying that Hamas have a right to exist and whatever else she said, and you've got all those, we pointed them out, all these like progressive types cheering it on. Yeah. I'm like, these people want bloodshed. It is evident to me that they want this war to keep going.
So the Occam's razor of war is very simple. So Occam's razor being, the simplest explanation is usually correct. Not always, but usually correct. The Occam's razor of war is who needs to stop killing in order for the killing to stop. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. If there's a feud going on, if there's a war going on, a border dispute, whatever, if there is a clear answer to that question, then that tells you a lot. Now, there isn't always a clear answer to that question. Sometimes it really is on both sides. But if you say who has to stop killing in order for the killing to stop, now you could say, well, Israel has to stop the killing in Palestine, except that that's not going to stop the killing.
Yeah.
Because Hamas are going to keep killing Palestinians, and Palestinians are going to lash out and try and kill Israelis.
Yeah.
So who has to stop killing in order for the killing to stop? Well, Hamas.
Yeah.
Hamas have to stop killing. And until that happens, the killing is not going to stop. Who is being killed and how quickly they're being killed will change depending on the particulars of the moment. But in order for the killing to stop, Hamas have to stop their killing.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's possible for the killing to actually stop outright. Now, there's people who say, but the occupation and blood and all the rest of it. I don't buy a lot of that. I think there's been so much misinformation, so many outright lies. I mean, that journalist was another example. I wasn't even aware of that. We saw the misuse of the child that had cerebral palsy, I believe it was, the misuse of that image being claimed to be malnutrition in the conditions in the camps. We have Israel being blamed for not allowing aid to get through when in fact it was Hamas who was shooting people when they went to get that aid. We've seen story after story. 18,000 children are going to be dead within 2 weeks and then they never are. We've seen so much of this boy who cried wolf stuff that I'm sorry, any credibility for those claims is now gone.
Yeah.
Yes, 60,000+ deaths of Palestinians is tragic. It is horrific. Out of a population of more than 2 million when the war started, that is not a genocide.
Yeah.
That is tragic collateral damage. It needs to be taken seriously. It does need to be looked at, but that is not a genocide. That is a collateral damage in a war between Hamas and Israel. And so this pisses a lot of people off. You can't say anything about this issue without someone being pissed off, but we've talked about that already. That's par for the course. The fact is, the only way lasting peace is possible is if Hamas are completely eviscerated, not just as a structure, as an organization, but the individuals holding positions of power inside that structure cannot be allowed to simply morph across to a new name, a new structure, a new something else. They need to be eviscerated. They need to be, frankly, killed.
Yep.
so that they cannot reorganise and restructure, and only then will lasting peace for Palestinian people be possible.
I agree with that sentiment, to be honest. When it comes to the war coverage and people sharing the war porn, and, you've got your Clementine Fords who are sharing all her pro-Palestine stuff. Then you got a lot of Israel people, like pro-Israel people, sharing all their stuff.
Yeah.
The truth is somewhere in between. And not to say that there haven't been casualties on both sides and egregious, terrible breaches of human rights. I understand that. But what I can't stand is when your average person who's not invested, and when I say not invested, you're either not Palestinian or Jewish, you're not in those countries, and you're not personally affected, but you feel it's your place to share all these photos of children being starved or bombed or whatever, and just assuming that the person who posted it is accurate, and then you're reposting it and propagating that propaganda. For the most part, a lot of it has been disproven. Like either it's that it was actually Israeli, like even Greta shared a picture that showed the starvation, but it was actually Israelis in the photos, not Palestinians.
And you had a situation very early in this particular conflict where the Israelis were accused of having fired a rocket into a hospital and killed a bunch of people. They found out that was actually a Hamas rocket that malfunctioned.
Yeah.
And yet the correction, the lie has got halfway around the world before the truth's got time to put its pants on.
Yeah.
The correction never gets the same coverage. It never actually covers the people that were deceived by the lie.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people out there that still believe all that stuff.
Yeah. I just looked then. Candace Owens has been denied entry into Australia by the High Court.
Yeah, that shouldn't be the case. I'm not super surprised.
I do love this post from Rukshan though. This is funny. Breaking: Australian government has flown in Candace Owens in secret after she declared herself an ISIS bride. The Minister for Immigration has said that Candace has shown the right type of character grounds to be welcomed into Australia as a treasonous supporter of a terrorist enemy, in the High Court ruling denying her visa was no longer an issue.
Yeah, well played, Rukshan. Well played.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, what do you do? What do you do? I'm a free speech absolutist. No one. Candace goes on some stuff that goes down some rabbit holes that I really find very distasteful.
Yeah.
I think a lot of her stuff around Charlie Kirk there isn't substance there.
I think she's grieving, and I don't think she realizes she's grieving because she was very close with Charlie. So
she's always been, though, someone who built her career out of kind of finding the most extreme version of whatever it was that she was involved in or talking about at the time, being a contrarian, saying the outrageous thing. That can have its good expressions. We need people that are willing to say the outrageous thing.
Yeah.
It can also lead to some people just always defaulting, reflexing to the outrageous thing, whatever that happens to be, whether it's true or not. I wouldn't have bothered to go and see her or hear her if she had come to Australia. Not anymore. There was a time when I would have, but I wouldn't have bothered. Should she have been denied a visa? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, that's ridiculous.
Well, it's interesting because it's that whole thing, and I've said this about the left when I say, like, people, Carly, don't platform these people. But this is what happens, like with mold. It grows in the shadows. So you can ban Candace. That's not going to stop her. If anything, it's only going to embolden the people that, like, are diehard Candace supporters. Same with Milo Yiannopoulos. Same with Kanye West. Same with Andrew Tate. The more you try and suppress these people, the more people go, well, there must be something there. I better pay attention.
How many people have been successfully cancelled in the last 10 years?
It
would be where there was a cancellation campaign and it worked.
And then you never hear from them again.
They've dropped off the radar and everyone's forgotten they exist.
It's only the people who accept they've been cancelled.
It's only the people that agree.
Yeah.
Anyone that says,
yeah,
we still know who they are. They're still around. And in fact, in many cases, they can leverage that cancelling as proof that they've got something, whether that's true or not.
Yeah.
So, look, should we be banning people because we think they're going to say something outrageous and blah, blah, blah? No, we shouldn't. Am I surprised? No, not particularly.
Yeah.
Am I personally affected? No, I would have done something else. I would have stayed at home and rewound my CDs or something. Just, anything to not.
My thing about Candace, I loved what she did with Bridget Macron.
I know you did.
But
boy, were you excited about that whole story.
Yeah, I know. I want to know. I want to just let me look. Let me look. We don't have to tell anyone. I just want to know.
Wow.
No. The thing with Candace, and I see this a lot with female commenters, and I want anyone that thinks I'm actually doing this myself to call me out on it. There is a mean girl behaviour.
Yeah.
Once you start to feel a little too confident, you start to feel like you can be Regina George. And I feel like Candace has that in her, particularly when I saw that whole House and Habit Candace Owens thing. I was like, oh, don't do this.
Yeah, come on.
Don't
Seriously.
do this. We're better than this, you know?
I saw it when she had her, well, actually, I'd already seen it before this, but it became really public when she had her split with the Daily Wire.
Yeah. Yeah, right? I think that was poorly done.
That was where you go, okay. But this is not unique to women. I would say Stephen Crowder did the same, the way that he burned the Daily Wire. And what a pompous ass. I mean, to sit there and say, oh, they've insulted me by offering me $50 million US. In pure commercial terms, he's probably not wrong. That this is the crazy thing. When we talked before about the scale of the American market. In America, where he's got 50 million followers, $50 million US for 4 years or 3 years of his content, that probably is a low ball, right? He's probably not technically wrong. But to go to the public and think you're going to win favour and currency and sympathy.
They only offered me $50 million.
They insulted me with $1 million US a month.
How insulting.
You know, and then publishing the details of the contract and everything else.
Daily Wire, I will accept 50 million US, not Australian. But
don't insult me with Australian crap.
But 50 million US, I mean, I could make it work.
Hey, a 2-for-1 package deal. Okay, 2-for-1, just 100 million. All right, 2-for-1. Okay, 120 million because I have to be paid at least, what is it, 24% more?
We've got to uphold the patriarchy.
That's right. We've got to uphold the gender pay gap.
That's all right. I get all the incentives and all the extra bits.
I don't want to know what you get. Yeah, no, thank you.
Last one.
All right.
This one. I sent this to you. This is, hang on.
I ignore all your
I know you do. You do. Hang on. Oh,
God. I did a video about this.
Did you?
Biggest social media companies have failed to show up to a hearing in Canberra. Officials from Google and Microsoft faced a grilling in Parliament yesterday to explain how they'll boot children from their platforms. There are calls for more clarity on the under-16s ban, which starts in December.
What is the plan for the 11th of December? What is the plan for the day after this social media ban kicks in?
Representatives from Meta, Snapchat and TikTok failed to attend the hearing.
So,
do you like my little comment there? I wrote, hang on, what did I write? I wrote civil disobedience from Silicon Valley.
Yes.
I like it.
So this is great, and it confirms what I've been saying for a while now. If you want to go back and get more history on this particular story, go to my YouTube channel, Topher Field, and have a look at Topher Project episode 180 and Topher Project episode 159. Those are the two where I've gone into a lot more detail in the background of this. The Karen has picked a fight with the tech giants, the American tech giants, and they are up for this fight. And they've just proven that I'm right, that they are up for this fight, by just giving a snub to the Parliament. So a parliamentary inquiry or parliamentary hearing is where they get to ask questions. It's where they get to get details. And they're going to sit there and do exactly what Senator Shoebridge there was saying. Oh, what is the plan? They're asking the tech companies, well, what's your plan? The tech companies would be very well justified to say, well, what's your legislation? Reasonable steps. That's the threshold.
Yeah.
Like that's not even the genesis of a plan.
Yeah.
What's going to happen here? It's very simple. Senator Shoebridge is saying, well, what's going to happen? I'll tell you what's going to happen. The tech companies are going to take what they believe to be reasonable steps. Now, these will include a lot of methods that do not meet the e-Karen's threshold, because what she wants is for every single person to be digitally ID'd, and facial recognition and biometric data. She wants every single user of the internet to be identifiable. That's her agenda. She couldn't get that through, so she's using this to backdoor it. What the tech companies will actually do is look at accounts like mine and say, well, he started his account in 2009. We're pretty sure he's probably 16 by now. In fact, any account more than about 5 years old, they can probably just grandfather in. Secondly, they're going to run AI over it and say, well, what content are they consuming? Because I can tell you the content being consumed by a 15-year-old versus the content being consumed by a 45-year-old, very different things.
Yes.
AI can very quickly tell the difference. Yeah. And not just for YouTube, this is for all of them. What comments have they been making? What accounts do they interact with? What do they say? What level of education do they write at? AI can very quickly push through all of that. So they are going to simply grandfather in a whole bunch of accounts.
Yeah.
And I don't think, this is my prediction, the majority of users will not even realize that they have been certified as over 16 by the platform that they're using.
Yeah.
It will happen seamlessly. It'll happen automatically. Your account has probably already been crawled by an AI and already been put in the bucket of accounts not to be touched. Some accounts will be affected, and yes, some will get shut down incorrectly, and there is going to be a palaver, right? That is going to happen, but the vast majority of accounts will not be affected. But what's going to happen then is the e-Karen's going to turn around and say, you haven't taken reasonable steps because you haven't individually verified every single person, And they're going to say, well,
I want it my way, Daddy, my way.
Actually, we think we have taken reasonable steps, and then the lawsuits will begin.
Yeah.
Now, Meta and X and YouTube and Google are already preparing for lawsuits.
Yes.
I say that with significant confidence. They are they're already preparing. It is expected now that YouTube are going to probably launch a constitutional challenge with a bunch of young left-wing activists as their front people for that constitutional challenge, saying that the under 16 social media ban violates the implied right to freedom of political communication in the Constitution.
Yeah.
It'll probably go straight to the High Court. And they've got a pretty good case. You can never predict with certainty, but they've got a pretty strong case there. But there's a bunch of other legal angles as well. To their credit, 4chan have said they're not going to pay the fine that the Karen is trying to put down on them. Like, all of these companies are growing a spine because they know that Donald Trump's got their back. And I talk about why that is in number 180 and number 159 of the Topher project. The specific instances around the world, the court cases and the battles with the UK government and other things that have given these big tech companies confidence that Trump's got their back. For as long as they're standing up for freedom of speech or for privacy on the internet, Trump has got their back. So does VP Vance. He got personally involved in the UK government stuff. So does Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He has tweeted about the fact that the US government will use diplomatic pressure in defense of fundamental freedoms.
But not only that, Elon Musk, because there was that story last week where Karen was trying to censored the video from Irina
Zaritska. Yeah.
And a lot of these people who aren't even Australians are like, you don't have any right to tell me what I can and can't post.
Eva Vladimir-Brook, a European journalist, it's like the Australian Karen is telling a European journalist that they can't post a video about the murder of a Ukrainian that happened in America.
Yeah.
Make this make sense.
I see this all falling apart, but I think a lot of this is like everyone's been saying to me this is escalating and it feels like it's getting worse and worse. I'm like, no, that's because it's falling apart.
Yeah, the collision is escalating.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah.
And so it will come into effect in December. I don't think they're going to defer it. I think Karen's ego won't allow her to do that. But what's going to happen is Karen's hubris is going to cause her to keep pushing forward to the point that this becomes toxic around Anthony Albanese.
Yeah.
Now, the election's still, 2 years or so away, so it's not imminent. But fast forward 1 year, and this is all hitting the courts and it's dragging on, right? And there'll be injunctions in place and the Karen will want this. The Karen's probably, this is another little prediction, at some point in time, the Karen is going to threaten to make a requirement that some of these big platforms be blocked on Australian ISPs. She's going to turn around and say, it may not be YouTube, but let's say Snapchat. Yeah. Snapchat has to be blocked by all Australian ISPs. Yeah. And the government's going to have to, no, little girl, go and sit in the corner.
Yeah.
You shut your mouth.
Well, that's what happens. They get so emboldened and they feel like you said, it's hubris, but they get to a point where they haven't been told no. And then all of a sudden that clap back is way harder than it would have been had they have learnt their lesson. But that's the same with a lot of the people on the progressive side. They've overplayed their hand and people are starting to rise up. And you could say it's civil disobedience. I think it's just people who've had a gutful.
People have had a gutful.
No.
And companies are emboldened now under Donald Trump. Donald Trump changed the world. He didn't just change America. He changed the world. And this is one of the ways in which he's going to change
Australia.
And
Elon Musk. I think Elon Musk buying X was...
that was a huge...
That'll go down as a monumental moment in history.
Especially considering the moment we were in when that happened.
Correct.
And the direction that everything was going in towards more censorship and all the rest of it. That was a game changer.
To wind up this podcast, I want to play you one funny video.
Okay.
All right. I just need to start it again. And
hilarious. A machete fight.
Yeah, of course. It is funny.
Australia's sporting capital, Melbourne. And everyone's getting into the latest sports craze. Shopping centre macheteing. Brought to you by Westfield, where we chop more than the prices. Today, regional champion Zumba McSlicey from Frankston is competing against Bulby Big Knife from St Kilda. Prize, a bag of watches from Michael Hill Jeweller. Wow, great slice from McSlicey. Let's see that again on his iPhone action replay. Oh, here come the popo, as you can see on the skincare cam, brought to you by Chemist Warehouse. 10 a.m. in Australia's sporting capital, Melbourne. And everyone's getting into the latest sports craze.
That's great.
It's great. Mike does some good stuff.
Great.
Thanks, Mike, for that. We need more of this. And look, this is what I was saying before about you need a sense of humor. Like you should, yes, it's serious. Yes, it's terrible, but you got to laugh, man. That's how you get through.
Also, their footwork is terrible and their blade positioning is really poor. I studied Western swordplay for a little while.
Of course you did.
And one of the weapons that we learned to fight with was the German Dussach, which is essentially a machete. Functionally, it's a machete around about the same length, same sort of weight and balance. And it happens to be the weapon that I was most effective with out of all of them. The long sword and all that, not so much. The Dussach, a little brutal, little short thing. Yep. Don't read too much into that. And so for me, I look at that and I just go, guys, you're not even good at it.
Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing.
Like,
but
where's your footwork? Where's your follow through? Where's the correct shifting of weight, the use of distance?
These teenagers, though, like I said, they're all hyped up on ego. They think they're cool. They got a machete. They've got the what it is, and like a takeaway from the fact that machetes can kill you. They've got the entire Westfield at their mercy.
Yeah, correct.
They feel so powerful.
Invincible, yeah.
That's what's feeding it.
Yeah.
Mock them, laugh at them, humiliate them. I've been saying this for every episode. Laugh at these people. Ha ha, you're an idiot.
Yeah. And can I just say, I've said before, we ought to be able to have, at a minimum, shotguns.
Yeah.
Every shopkeeper that wants one should be able to have a shotgun under their counter. Every single person that wants one should be able to have a shotgun in their home and ready to go, loaded. Not separated and firing pin and separate lockup no, ready to go.
Yeah.
Because that would mean that these guys would pick a different venue for their little sporting event.
Yeah.
They're not going to do it where there's a bunch of shotguns behind counters.
Well, they wouldn't do it if they were getting some accountability. And I know just mean from the courts. I mean, like you said before, break some legs.
Yeah.
And
people say, oh, you're advocating violence. No, I'm advocating an end to their violence. Let's come back to what I asked before, and this is probably a great place to finish. Who needs to stop being violent in order for the violence to stop?
Yeah.
Right? It's them.
Yeah.
This violence does not stop until they stop being violent, which means if it requires violence on our part in order for them to stop their violence, then the only way to stop the violence is for us to match it, for us to do what it takes to bring them to the point where they go, I'm not doing that again. That's the only way to end this violence.
Yeah.
Now.
I agree. That's another episode.
Another episode down at number 41.
Number 41.
Next episode is the meaning of life.
Yeah.
42.
No, next episode is me reading out my exegesis to everyone.
Okay. The next episode is the end of my life. Yay.
What was I going to say? Do you want to tell people about what we're going to do for the audience?
I think, this was your idea. Full credit to you. I think
it was actually G's idea.
Okay. Full credit to G. There you go. G, you did a thing. So OG Oddies, it's closed now. No more OG Oddies.
Yeah, so
done. We have great news for you. You are going to get a unique mug. Not this one. You're going to get a unique one that is just for the OG Oddies and will never be made available to anybody else. This will be an OG Oddie commemorative mug, and on it, we want to put all of the phrases that are a part of the drinking game.
The Oddcast drinking game.
All of the Oddcast. This is an Oddcast drinking game mug. So
you get a little bingo card. And on that will be all of our little things.
a pad of bingos.
So this is where we actually need you, Oddies.
Yep, we do.
You need to write in the comments now, again, not in the live chat, jump over to... Yes, because it disappears and I won't be able to find it again. Right now, jump on over to the actual comment thread on YouTube and write down the phrases that should be on the bingo card.
Yeah. So obviously, Venezuela, Masters. But there's a bunch of
Niab.
others. Yeah, he's got to make an appearance. We talk all the stuff that we talk a lot about.
Yeah.
All the phrases that we use. So tangent time's got to be in there. Spicy Carlz has got to be in there. All the phrases that you.
It's so funny because now that I can't actually remember them.
You guys know them better than we do because we use them because they're natural to us.
Yeah.
Like that's why they come up so much.
Yeah. So put the phrases there and they'll go on the mug.
And that's why we need your help because we need you to tell us what they are because we forget.
This is going to be fun.
Yeah, so it'll be a fun mug.
And then next year we'll have a whole new set of slogans, hopefully.
Well, no, I reckon we got to keep the
You
classics.
reckon you can keep smashing out Venezuela?
Hey, that song's never going to change. That song, Tangent Time? That's never going to change.
We are going to get, when we have the 50 million from the Daily Wire, we are going to, I've already crazily
You've already spent the money.
Yeah, I have. In my head, I've already orchestrated this song. So we're going to have showgirls and it's going to be like tuxedos and stand like...
All right.
And then... start to build and we got some brass and then we end with a guy on the double bass like boom, 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 and then it's tangent time.
All right, so that'll be the second birthday party, everybody.
I just need 50 million.
We're not pulling that together for the first birthday party. I can tell you that much.
You can sing.
The first birthday party, you've just got me. That's all.
Yeah, I can put you in a showgirl outfit.
Sounds more appealing than I'd like to admit. No, moving on. We need to finish this show. This is going to go off the rails badly. We've hit the 3-hour mark.
All right, if you haven't yet, guys, please jump on, buy us a coffee. OG Oddies are closed. had to close it eventually.
Yeah.
There'll be new membership tiers, but thank you to everyone who's an OG.
We are going to look after everybody. Just because you've missed out on OG, well, you missed out on OG.
Yeah, there's a few people who couldn't financially commit, and that's fine. We know you.
Yeah.
We know you're not cut.
We're going to look after everybody, but we do want to do something special for the OGs because they're the OGs. They got behind us before we were cool. And they're making a big difference. Like to have that little bit of membership there. Well, it covers. I mean, you've been paying for the StreamYard subscription. You've been paying for Buzzsprout and a bunch of other. Like, there's lots of little subscriptions and software as a service type fees that get paid for, and that is now being covered by our OGs.
Yes, so the subscriptions drive me crazy. I'm paying for, dare I say it, I'm paying for the Australian, the Herald Sun, and the Age.
Yeah.
So we can access the articles.
Same.
I don't like giving them money, but you have to.
Yes, unfortunately. In our line of work, it is a cost of doing business.
Yes, and also, everyone keeps telling me to get ad blockers and, VPN.
But the ads are so funny.
But I have it. And the problem is, whenever I have the VPN on, it causes disruption to normal things.
Yeah,
and
you get
so irritating.
Yeah.
So I end up turning it off.
VPNs are a tool that you use for specific contexts.
I'm going to go look up, don't say it. I was going to say, pedestry. What is it?
Podiatry. No.
Podiatry. I'm going to look up feet.
Do you have any idea how many podiatrists we have in this town?
How do you know my Google search history? How did you know? But yeah, no, I think I said that like when we talked about that judge, when we were talking about pedophilia. I felt so dirty because I was typing it into Google and trying to pull things up, and I was like, I hate this is in my Google history.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Yeah, same.
Yucky.
Yeah, look, if someone wanted to troll my Google history and try and make a case out that I was X, Y, or Z, if you didn't know what I do for a living, and I couldn't go back and say, this is the video I made out of all that research. The bad thing is that sometimes I do the research, I'm like, I'm not going to make a video, and then I don't have the video.
Like, that was recreational.
Yeah, that's right.
I use Monty now and Perplexity. Do you use Perplexity? No. They're great. Perplexity is better for more thorough research. I would say it's more accurate. ChatGPT can hallucinate, but ChatGPT is better at creative tasks and pulling things together. So I use the two, but I just put it in agent mode or research mode, and it goes and pulls it all together. And I give it like barriers. I say it has to be a mainstream media source, because if you and I show something from somewhere that's really obscure, like we did the other day with the drinking coffee in the car.
Which, to be clear for those that missed that was a fake news story.
And I did fall for it.
And one of the reasons you could tell it was a fake news story was because it was just on these really fringe websites. And I did a whole video on how it was a fake news story.
But to be fair, Adam, who you're interviewing on a slow chat, like I saw it on his first. He was the first one and he came out and said, I did the wrong thing and I'm sorry. And I'm like, I did too. Sorry.
Oh, it happens. And this is why I did the video I did. It's like, these are the markers, because I initially researched it and I was skeptical. And then the AI result that came back said, this is actually true. Here's how much you can get.
Well, because I did the exact same thing.
Yeah. And at that point, I went, maybe this is true. I'm going to keep my research going and do a video all about this, because this seems outrageous. And then within minutes of that, I realized, hang on, all these sources, because AI told me what the sources were. And I went to those sources and I went, nah.
We're all so cynical. We believed it could be true.
Well, that's right.
We're like, it sounds legit.
The last one that went around only a few weeks or a month, a couple of months ago, was a curfew on drivers over 60, blah, blah, blah. It's the same thing, fake news. And so these people have figured out there are certain topics and certain buttons they can push that get them eyeballs, which gets them money. And they're cynical enough to be willing to exploit that.
Yeah. It's like the new version of tabloids.
Yeah, basically.
I would say, yeah.
All right, we've got to wrap up.
All right.
Bye. Wait, not just you. Me too. Bye.
Bye.
Why?
Press it.
Okay, fine.
You didn't press it.
No, it's pressed. It's pressed. Just carry on. Carry on normally. No, just stop performing. Just shape shift back into your lizard self and show the world
who I really am.
Yeah, you really are. Yeah.
I've got to go back to my conwoman ways.
That's right.
I've got new schemes to invent.
Okay, fine. That didn't work. I didn't fool her. You'll have to wait and see her lizard skin some other time. Bye, everybody.